Chapter 1908, Descent of the Son of God. Chapter 1908, Descent of the Son of God. Demonic flames soared to the sky. Just like the demon beast in a movie, the demon Chi could be seen with the naked eye lingering in the sky above Buddha City. The huge Buddha City was like a dead city. There was no sound at all. Dead silence. Long Fei stood on the hillside. There were a few low-level evil spirits wandering around the entrance of the Buddha City. They were not much different from humans. The only difference was that their bodies were emitting evil spirit flames, causing their eyes to be empty. It was as if he had lost his consciousness and was wandering around aimlessly. Many of them were monks. These monks were all monks of the martial arts training. Although they had become evil spirits, their cultivation levels were still there, or even stronger. Cluck, 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 cluck. Clenching both of his fists, a cracking sound could be heard. Huff! Long Fei took a deep breath and said, "My slaughter is about to begin." Buddha City, right? Evil spirits, right? If no one comes to transcend you, I'll transcend you. Long Fei faintly smiled as the idea moved. Ghost Rider, attack! Buzz. Space twisted, and the gates of hell opened. Ghost Rider roared as he rode on his violent motorcycle from hell. Long Fei stepped onto the motorbike and sped out. Boom, boom, boom. A thunderous roar shook the skies. It was an incomparably cool scene. In a short moment, he had charged to the city gate. The Ghost Rider swept the hellfire chains in his hands and directly cut the low-rank evil spirits into two. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing low-level evil spirit for obtaining 500 experience, holy power value plus 1 point, and metamorphic energy value plus 1 point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing low-level evil spirit for obtaining 500 experience, holy power value plus 1 point, and metamorphic energy value plus 1 point. A low-level vengeful spirit with 500 experience points. If I want to level up, I'll need hundreds of thousands of evil spirits. Damn. Long Fei was secretly shocked. Don't worry about that. Kill. Boom. Ghost Rider rushed straight into the Buddha City. There were too few evil spirits outside the city, so it wasn't fun. However, when he rushed into Buddha City, Long Fei's scalp started to turn numb. It was so dense that it covered the sky and the earth. All of them were evil spirits, and also there were even some evil spirits that had mutated into incomparably ugly high-level evil spirits. The entire Buddha City was covered in dark red blood clots. A house was like hell. Even the Ghost Rider was shocked. In that instant, all the evil spirits in the Buddha City were staring at Long Fei. It was as if they had been discovered by a million zombies. And following that, the evil spirits within the city surged towards Long Fei like tidal waves. The scene. This thunder also shocked the entire holy Buddhahood. The Son of God has descended. This was a sign. At the same time, it was also a reminder that the awakening of the Son of God had begun. The Bliss Temple erupted in cheers. Son of God thunder. It's finally sounded. Ha ha ha. The Son of God has descended. Holy Buddhahood's hope is here. Everyone was cheering. The arrival of the Son of God was a lifesaver for them. As long as the Son of God grew up, then the evil spirit tribe would be chased out of the sect, and the holy Buddhahood would be able to return to its former state of being a pure land. In the main hall, the host's face was full of excitement as he asked, "Where is he? Where is it?" The main hall quickly calmed down. One of the monks said, "Host, the Son of God sounded out. The Son of God must have appeared in the Western Buddha City. Looks like the long-browed Grandmaster's Son of God selection is approved by the Lord of Buddha. As long as this time it is the Son of God that is chosen." That's right. It can't be wrong. The Son of God competition was born in the sky of absolute joy. Then it must be born in the Western Buddhist city. It can't possibly appear in the evil spirit tribe, or perhaps in the midst of the evil spirit Buddha city, right? That's impossible. How could it be born in that evil place? It must be in the Western Buddhist city. We will immediately proceed with the selection of the Son of God. Long-browed Grandmaster is too wise. Eyebrows is filled with joy and some pride. He had been acknowledged by the Lord of Buddha. If he were to capture Long Fei and hand him over, would he become a Buddha on the spot? Thinking of this, he felt even more proud of himself. Evil Spirit Buddha City. Holy **T. What's the situation? Why did a ray of the Lord of Buddha's holy light suddenly appear in my body? What's the situation? Long Fei was a little puzzled. The woman's eyes narrowed like crescent moons. She said, "What if our evil spirit tribe becomes a son of God? What kind of blow will this deal to the holy Buddhahood?" The hall suddenly became silent, and everyone turned to look at the lady on the high seat. They were extremely respectful towards this woman. She was a true evil spirit. It was also the most powerful evil spirit. Buddha said, "Sir, we are all carrying evil spirit flames. We are unable to participate. Even if we succeed in choosing to become Son of God, we will still not be able to withstand the baptism of the Lord of Buddha's holy light." The woman did not care about this and said, "That's because you guys can't take it." The Buddha froze, looking into the woman's eyes. The Lord of Buddha's baptism of holy light could evolve all kinds of evil, and no amount of evil could escape it. The woman then continued, "Martial arts training, I can become a son of God, Buddhist cultivator. I can also become a son of God. No one can stop me after I obtain the Buddha root. I will personally destroy it in the Hall of Bliss Temple and see what kind of expression these old bald donkeys have. Hee hee." He was completely like a madman. Everyone in the hall was shocked. However, no one doubted her strength. There was nothing to say about the martial arts training. Buddhist cultivation, even those old monks who had cultivated for 1,000 years couldn't compare to her. If she really used these two as the standard, then she would definitely become a son of God. Anyone in the holy Buddhahood could cultivate Buddha, and any woman could also become a Buddha. Right. The girl's eyes turned cold, her cold gaze returned, and she asked, "Where is that brat now? Did Long Brows fail?" One of the Buddha walked out and said, "Reporting to Sir, Long Brow did not succeed. That brat holy Buddhahood disappeared. However, he should not be able to escape. His current strength is from the Bliss Temple. If he dies, he will die. He's no threat at all." The lady nodded her head and said, "Seems like I have to do one more thing when I obtain the Buddha root and kill the person in charge of the extreme sky. 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, go and prepare." Boom. Boom. 18,000 combo attacks. Kill. Ding. Ding. Long Fei killed without stopping. He was afraid that the feeling of becoming a vegetable once again would of course lead him to life and death in the hands of others. It was too hard. The killing intent of the devil's hand became more and more intense. The system also exploded. However, Long Fei had yet to find a single boss within the Buddha city that he could look at. They were all low-ranked evil spirits. This troubled Long Fei the most. There was no way he could use his abnormal value. Boom. Boom. 138,000 combo attacks. Ding. Long Fei fought with all his might. For 3 whole days and 3 nights, he did not take a minute to rest and continued to kill. 200,000 kicks. Boom. In this instant, the holy light of the Buddha appeared again as another ray of light fell upon his body. This feeling was extremely special, and one could not tell what it was. It only made Long Fei feel incomparable warmth. It was the feeling of a child nestling in his mother's arms. At the same time, in the Western world, there was another loud noise. The thunder of the Son of God resounded once again throughout the entire holy Buddhahood. Bliss Temple and Evil Spirit Tribe were shocked again. 300,000 combo. Rumble. Once again, Buddhist light flashed inside Long Fei's body, but he was already numb to it now, and scolded, "Damn you, Buddhist light is always flashing. You actually have the rewards. I don't want anything else, just the Tathagata Buddha avatar will do." But nothing happened. Hoo. Long Fei's eyes were tightly locked as he looked at the evil spirit that was trembling in the corner, and gulped as he looked at his 99,999% experience bar condition. The punch landed. Buzz. A powerful force suddenly exploded, directly blowing the body of that evil spirit apart. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing low-level evil spirit, for obtaining 1,000 EXP, 10 holy power value, 1 metamorphic energy value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently level, Silver Star level 1. Damn. Fuck. I finally leveled up. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. He had leveled up countless times, but this time, he had never looked forward to leveling up as much as this time, as his body was fully recovered. It was a feeling that he hadn't felt in a long time. Chapter 1910, Tathagata's Essence Blood. Chapter 1910, Tathagata's Essence Blood. The Sumi Rings was recovering. The system was recovering. Long Fei's body was recovering. His cultivation technique was recovering. The blasting fist changed from grayish-white to multicolored, completing its cool down. Everything returned to the state that Long Fei was in when he was in the Devil Island, as if he had been completely awakened. Also, his devil's power did not weaken in comparison. After 3 days and 3 nights of killing, his devil's hand had absorbed the evil spirit's power from the 3 days and 3 nights ago. It had become even more brutal and arrogant, to the point where it was completely out of Long Fei's control at times. Tian Shu once said, "This kind of power would not be inferior to others. It would be able to contend for the throne." In the past, Long Fei was afraid. Now, he was not the least bit afraid. The system was there, the power was there, the blasting fist was there, and in this world, who did he need to be afraid of? Just when Long Fei was excited, the system sounded out once again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up and obtaining a special reward. Upgrade reward. Long Fei's mind tensed up. He immediately held his breath and waited quietly. What could it be? Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Tathagata's blood. F***CK Tathagata's blood essence? Long Fei swallowed a mouthful of saliva heavily, his entire person being shaken. He never thought that the system would be so awesome. Tathagata's blood essence. The heck? Buddha didn't have a clone, but Tathagata's blood essence. Wow, what the hell? They're going to be posted soon, Long Fei said with great excitement in his heart. Open the system now. Item, Tathagata blood grade. Damage. Attribute. Description, fusion item. F***CK. What's the situation? The attributes are all gone, and the description is only 1 or 4 words. What the F***CK is this? Fusion items, what is fusion? Tell me. Long Fei complained fiercely. Tathagata blood. It was not Tathagata blood vein. This drop of blood essence definitely contained the powerful strength of Lord Tathagata the Buddha. But what did it need to fuse with? I don't know. Master System, give me a hint, won't you? Long Fei muttered, not waiting for system prompt. The sleeping beauty among the space rings stretched her back and said, "Master, this Tathagata blood essence is a type of supreme power. It needs the cooperation of the Buddha root and will become the supreme power in the Buddhist realm." Huh. Sister, are you awake again? Listening to this, Long Fei stretched as he looked at the sleeping beauty. He had to admit that he had not seen her for a few years, but now, growing up, some parts of his body were protruding even more ferociously. It was even more beautiful. The sleeping beauty was the most beautiful woman Long Fei had ever seen, beautiful to the point of sacrilege. The sleeping beauty giggled and said, "Master, I'm too sleepy. I can't get enough sleep. Hee hee." Long Fei said, "It's fine. Go back to sleep." And the main thing is that the time in this small world is different from the time in the big world. I'm especially prone to getting sleepy, and when you actually reach universal large world, I won't be this sleepy anymore. The sleeping beauty said with a smile, "Universal large world." It was still too far away for Long Fei right now. Long Fei immediately asked, "Sister, how much do you know about Evil Spirit Tribe? Has Evil Spirit Tribe appeared?" The sleeping beauty was slightly surprised. She suddenly moved her power and immediately sensed the evil spirits in the surrounding and said, "As expected, the Evil Spirit Tribe has appeared. Master, you must be careful. They are even more terrifying than Destiny God. Evil Spirit Tribe is a branch of the spirit race. Their souls have been corroded by the demons, so they are called the evil spirits. Their power is huge. You must be careful. Once they catch you, all your previous efforts will be in vain." This was the first time the Sleeping Beauty had become so serious. She didn't say why Evil Spirit Tribe wanted to capture him. It was as if he was deliberately avoiding the question. Long Fei did not ask further. He knew that the Sleeping Beauty would not tell him any of this. If he wanted to know, he would have to find the answer himself. Long Fei nodded and said, "I'll remember." The Sleeping Beauty said, "Master, you don't have to worry. Holy Buddhahood's Evil Spirit Tribe is too small. They would really dare to do anything to you here." Humph! The Sleeping Beauty placed her hands on her hips, and her chest began to rapidly tremble. She had an angry look on her face as she pouted and said, "I want them to watch it." Long Fei did not tell the Sleeping Beauty that he had almost died under the hands of the evil spirit. Instead, he smiled and said, "Then do you know how to purify the evil spirit?" The Sleeping Beauty said, "There are actually a lot of ways to purify them, but in Holy Buddhahood, the only way is to purify them with Buddha root. But Buddha roots are extremely important to you. Do not use them to purify anyone." Buddha root, activating one of the main artifacts, energy. This was a great treasure to Long Fei. The fourth stage of the main artifact was sure to be extremely cool, to be able to instantly kill everything there was. The strength of Buddha root S could be imagined. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and did not say a word. The Sleeping Beauty stretched again and said, "Okay, Master, I'm going to sleep now, hee hee." Before he could finish his words, he then laid down on the ground and closed his eyes. His face was incomparably fair, without the slightest blemish on it. He looked extremely alluring. No man can control the allure of it. Long Fei immediately stopped thinking about it. Buddha root. I have to get it. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, looked to the west, and muttered, "The Son of God selection, right? I'm coming." Some things had to be done. Son of God's selection. Long Fei had to attend. If there was someone who would risk their life for him, Long Fei could destroy a world because of him. This was Long Fei. If there was hatred, there would be revenge. If there was kindness, there would be kindness. The head of the four holy monks had fallen into such a state. If they did not save him, Long Fei would not be called Long Fei. Bliss Temple. The matter regarding the Son of God's selection has been announced. The entire holy Buddhahood was stirred because of it. 3 claps of Son of God's thunder. Could it be 3 Son of God S appeared? It used to be the Son of God's thunder, but this time there were 3, and it was 3 consecutive days, once a day. Could it be because the holy Buddhahood had not seen the Son of God for thousands of years, and 3 people appeared at once? It's not impossible. The current holy Buddhahood is extremely difficult. If 3 Son of God can appear, then our holy Buddhahood can reappear in the world of the Pure Land. The great hall of the Bliss Temple was in a state of peace. The incident at the Son of God had let them see hope. Long Brow's residence. You have all the spirits of the Buddha city disappeared. That's right. All of them have disappeared. The evil spirit demon flames above the Buddha city has also disappeared. Someone saw a person walk out from the Buddha city. His brows furrowed as he asked, "Who?" "It's the brat we're looking for, Long Fei." Long Brow's eyes flashed with a trace of light. "I really went to the Buddha's city. Elder, should we make a move?" Long Brows shook his head and said, "No need, he is unimportant now. The most important thing is that we have to find the Son of God first. If you don't hurry, it'll be too late. I must be that Son of God." A ragged man rushed into the city like a madman. Not just him. There were all kinds of people, farmers, merchants, ladies, children, women. Long Fei had never seen such a great selection before. He thought in his heart, "You all want to become Son of God." Long Fei quickened his pace. There were 100 registration points in Buddha City, and it was a place that almost every day there was no way to squeeze through. It took a lot of effort for Long Fei to make it to the registration area. He said, "I want to sign up." "What's his name?" Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, a man beside him, who was still holding a spoon that was used to cook food, snorted, "Me? My name is Chief Wong." Next, it fell heavily, Chief Wong. "All right, this is your identity card. You can enter the selection when your name is called." He handed a bamboo stick-like identity badge to Long Fei and shouted, "Next!" Chief Wong originally wanted to register. Unexpectedly, the owner of the inn shouted loudly, "Chief Wong, come back for me. A guest has arrived." Chief Wong was a little unwilling, but he was even more afraid of the boss deducting his salary. He grinned. "Maybe I'm the legendary Son of God." He reluctantly squeezed out of the crowd. Long Fei held onto the identity board and looked at the words Chief Wong written on it and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There were too many people registering. No one cares what your name is, because no matter what your name is, as long as you aren't Son of God, no one will remember your name. If you become a Son of God, no one will remember your name, because others will only know your name is a Son of God. Suddenly, the crowd burst into an uproar. "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! All of you, get out of the way!" Not too far away, a dozen strong men directly made a path through the crowd. The strength of the strong man was not weak. Hundreds of people were pressing down on him, yet he remained standing and unmoving. His cultivation was not low at all. In the distance, a teenager wearing a purple gold monastic robe slowly walked over with a bald head. There was a trace of light on his body. Everyone was shocked. Falling Moontown's Buddha, it's really him. His body is still radiating Buddhist light. Right at this moment, many people kneeled down and worshipped him. The Buddha was a very precious identity. The disciple that Buddha chose was actually a disciple that was selected by the high monk. It was just that he had studies on Buddhas that ordinary people could not compare to. That Buddha's eyes were somewhat cold, not even bothering to look at the people around him as he walked forward and said with his palms clasped together, "Buddha Lin Yuan." He wrote down the name and handed it over with both hands. Lin Yuan accepted it and slowly walked away. Chapter 1912, Lord of Buddha Imprint. Chapter 1912, Lord of Buddha Imprint. The explosion of chi was extremely powerful. 8 strong men crashed into him and were sent flying. Boom! The white-clothed girl was startled. She looked at Long Fei and said, "Thank you." The great demon king of Bic walked over and looked straight at Long Fei, saying, "Chief Wang, I never thought that you would be so powerful." Puchi. When the white-clothed girl heard Chief Wang, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. That smile! Spring was shining, and the whole mountain was covered with azaleas. The smile was so moving and intoxicating. Enchanted, Long Fei was slightly startled. He had never seen a smile like the spring wind. The girl in front of him was truly not ordinary. Bic was also confused. He placed a hand on Long Fei's shoulder and muttered to himself, "Chief Wang, what do you feel?" "Why do I feel like I'm in a sea of flowers? The sunlight shines on my body in the spring. It's too comfortable." Long Fei said, "Bic, you are a Buddhist disciple. Don't think too much." "Bic? Who is the Bic?" His eyes widened as he said, "Head chef, I didn't expect that you would be so fierce." At this moment, the white-clothed girl had already walked to the registration point, and Long Fei did not visit her any longer. Bic was about the same. The reason why he attacked wasn't because the woman was beautiful, but because he couldn't bear to look at Lin Yuan, nor could he bear to see her sad and weak. Seeing that Long Fei had walked far away, he quickly followed and asked, "Chef, you still haven't told me how you cultivate. What do you think a cook like you would do? Do you know what a Buddha is? Do you know how to write the word Buddha?" Hey, I'm talking to you." Bic chased Long Fei all the way and asked incessantly, but Long Fei ignored him. Bic continued to ask behind him. This was because the power that Long Fei had released caused him to be excited. "Big Cook, shall we fight?" Bic blocked Long Fei's way and said, "Let's fight." Long Fei looked at Bic's serious expression and said, "Are you crazy?" The Bic clenched his fist and said, "The power that you exploded out earlier did not come from the Buddhist power. I really want to know what kind of power it is, so let's fight, right?" Long Fei stared at him and said, "You are so energetic. Go and fight with an ox. I have no time to care about you." Long Fei still had to make some preparations for tomorrow's selection. The Son of God selection was different from all the previous selections. Buddhist cultivation? Long Fei didn't understand a thing. The main topic of the first stage was Buddhist cultivators. If one could not even pass the first stage, how could one become a son of God? Long Fei needed another day to make it up, so he decided to hug the Buddha's feet for a bit to see if he could get away with it. Long Fei walked to the end of the street and looked at the 9-story building Buddhist Scripture Pavilion. At this moment, the entrance of the sacred mansion was also filled with people. There were many who had the same thoughts as Long Fei. When sharpening the spear, even if it wasn't quick, it would still shine, whether it was useful or not. Let's first take a look. Bic walked to Long Fei's side and said, "You want to enter the Buddhist pavilion?" Long Fei looked at the long queue. If he were to queue up here, he might not even reach the line tomorrow. He immediately shook his head and said, "Come and take a look." The Bic followed Long Fei's gaze and smiled. "Head chef, as long as you are willing to fight with me, I have a way to bring you to another place. That place has far more scriptures than this place, and they are much deeper. How about it? Let's fight." Long Fei looked at him and asked, "Why do you have to fight with me?" Bic said excitedly, "Because I have never seen the power in you before. I want to fight with you for a family. I did not come to participate in the selection to become the Son of God. My goal is not to become the Son of God. My goal is to become the martial Buddha." "Ah, the Son of God is so boring. The most powerful thing in the world is to fight." Long Fei said, "If you want to fight that badly, why don't you go and fight the evil spirits?" Bick scratched his bald head and said, "What use is there in thinking about it? I can't do it. Don't talk about that. I'll ask you now if you want to go to the Buddhist scripture pavilion." Other than knowing the words Buddha, Long Fei really didn't know anything else. If he really wanted to test some of the things in the scriptures, he would be like a gobbledygook. "All right, I promise you," Long Fei said. "1 round." Bick said excitedly, "1 match is enough, no matter if you win or lose. I will bring you there." Not long later, the two of them arrived at the riverside outside the arena. A cool breeze blew past, causing the willow leaves to float in the air. Bick cupped his fists and said, "Big Chef, I'm here." While they were talking, with each step he took, Buddhist light burst forth from under his feet, and the muscles of his entire body expanded. Even half of his clothes were on the verge of bursting apart, giving him an extremely vigorous aura. Long Fei's eyes moved slightly, and thought, what a strong power. He could clearly feel the orthodox Buddhism energy released from Bick's body, as if there was a power surrounding his entire body. Long Fei's mind moved. The aura of Silver Star realm burst forth, and his right fist clashed directly with the aura. Boom! His holy power value surged and erupted. Long Fei's body exploded with a burst of silver light. Boom! The fists collided. Long Fei retreated a few steps, and Bick followed suit. The two of them were evenly matched. Immediately, Bick shouted excitedly. Again, his muscles tensed up even more, and his clothes started to crack. Crack! 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 His strength was even stronger. Long Fei's aura also shook slightly as he increased his strength. Once again, he punched out. Boom! Boom! The two fists collided, and the two retreated explosively once again. Bick looked at Long Fei and said, "You're really strong. Ha ha! Big Chef, I am going to use the power of 10 layers now." Buzz! A ray of light shot out from his body and gushed into his fist. His eyes flashed with a bright light. Swish! A loud sound echoed out. The jacket burst. Every muscle seemed to be cast from copper water. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he thought to himself, "Let me see just how strong you are at the 10th level." His fist sank. All of the Silver Star Realm's power had been released. Moreover, the power of Long Fei's sacred body also erupted right after, and the two energies fused together. In an instant, the power of the Holy Buddha in Long Fei's body suddenly moved and fused into his fist. Come! Boom! Without any hesitation, the two fists collided once again. At this moment, the two of them did not separate immediately. The powerful energy continued to collide, and Long Fei could feel the orthodox Buddhist power on the Bick's fist. Ah! Bick roared, "Watch out!" Buzz! A Buddhist light burst out from his back. Long Fei's eyes widened in shock, because a huge swastika rose from his back. The golden light was dazzling. Buddhist orthodoxy. The power was incredibly dense. On the back of Bick was a Buddhist seal. It was not a tattoo, but an innate imprint. The seal of, also known as the Lord of Buddha's mark. The power of orthodoxy. Chapter 1913, Ancient Temples. Chapter 1913, Ancient Temples. Long Fei was dumbstruck. Bick himself was slightly shocked. Even he himself never imagined that there would be a swastika when his strength exploded into such a state. Never. Long Fei trembled slightly, then retreated quickly. Bick's expression also changed as he hurriedly retracted his strength. His entire person also continuously retreated backwards as he looked at Long Fei in shock and said, just now. Long Fei looked at Bick's stupefied expression and said, "Don't tell me you didn't know about it in the past." Bick used his hands to feel his back, but he couldn't do anything. He turned around and showed it to Long Fei, saying, "Is there something on my back?" There was a large swastika mark on his back. Long Fei nodded his head and said, "This should be the Lord of Buddha's mark, right?" The rumors outside that those who were born with Buddhist seals were all fake and had their bodies tattooed on them. Otherwise, how could those Bliss Temple's people not find out? However, the imprint had just appeared on Bik's body. It could also be said that he had just awakened. This was the true orthodoxy of Buddhism, the mark of the Lord of Buddha. Bik was stunned, and he muttered, "Lord of Buddha's mark? Sealov, why is it me?" Long Fei laughed. "Seems like you are that son of God." Bik shook his head and said, "It is impossible for me to be son of God, and I cannot become son of God either. I only want to become a martial Buddha, and do not wish to become a son of God at all." After hearing him talk about becoming a martial Buddha, Long Fei did not know what a martial Buddha was and could not help but ask, "What is a martial Buddha?" Bik looked at Long Fei and said, "They are the people who are protecting Son of God." Huh. Long Fei was startled. What does that mean? It would be better to become a son of God. And as long as the Sealov on your back is revealed, there's no need to choose. You will be a son of God. How many son of God S were there? If there were 3 son of God S, then Long Fei only had 2 spots to compete for. If there was only 1 son of God, then the Bik in front of him would be Long Fei's strongest opponent. Bik shook his head. "I don't want to become son of God. And also, Sealov doesn't mean much, but the key thing is—" He looked at Long Fei and looked at him very seriously and said, "There are 2 types of people within the Holy Buddhahood that can make the swastika awaken. One is by self-help, and the other is by the power of the Son of God." Bik looked at Long Fei seriously and did not finish what he wanted to say. He shook his head and asked, "Son of God, how could he possibly be a chef?" "Definitely not. But it's not right to make a breakthrough." Bik was suddenly at a loss. He did not believe that Long Fei was a son of God. Similarly, he also knew that his own strength was unable to break through the shackles of the Seal-Ov, which meant that he did not awaken the Seal-Ov because he had made a breakthrough on his own. What was the reason? He was very conflicted. Long Fei was too lazy to think about it. It was him who had awakened the Seal-Ov anyway, not him. Of course. What Long Fei did not know was that, at the instant the fists collided, the power of the Holy Buddha in his body surged. It was also because of this energy that caused the Sealov in his body to awaken. Son of God descended. Each time the form was different. However, one form is the same. The 8 martial Buddhas will also follow the descent of the spirit realm from the Son of God. They could only awaken the power in their bodies with Son of God. However, the imprint on martial Buddha's body was different every single time. There had never been a Sealov because this swastika represented the Lord of Buddha. If it was the martial Buddha, this was the highest seal's power. Don't think too much. I already hit you and even activated the power of the imprint. Can you take me to the Buddhist pagoda now? Long Fei didn't think too much about why the Bik would awaken its power. He didn't think of himself at all. Bik scratched his head. "I'm too lazy to think. I don't care what reason it is. I'm me anyway. Let's go. I will definitely do what I promised you. But we are not going to the Buddhist scripture pavilion. I will take you to another place." The Bik smiled mysteriously. The Buddhist scriptures from that place are the true Buddhist scriptures. Whoever can comprehend the scriptures inside is definitely not worse than those high monks from the Bliss Temple. Bik brought Long Fei into the sewer. With so many twists and turns, Long Fei did not complain. 2 hours later, Bik pointed to the ruins in front of them and said, "We're here. This is also my home." "That's not right. It should be the place where I was born." Bik laughed and walked into the ruins. Long Fei looked at the ruins in front of him in a daze. In front of him was a dilapidated temple. The temple looked extremely ancient, and furthermore, under the ground. This was something he did not understand. There was absolutely no Buddhism under the ground. Bick was pleased to see Long Fei's blank look, and said, "How is it? Awesome, right? This temple was once an ancient ruin." Ancient ruins? Long Fei was in disbelief. The Bick said, "But the Holy Buddhahood is in this temple." Long Fei looked at Bick. He didn't know much about the Holy Buddhahood, but he had heard that the Holy Buddhahood was born in a temple. Of course, he absolutely did not believe that the temple in front of him was the place where the Holy Buddhahood resided. The Bick pointed to a collapsed building in the middle of the ruins and said, "That is the scripture pavilion." There are many Buddhist scriptures inside. I can casually flip through them. He will definitely be able to attend the Buddhist examination tomorrow. And then, Bick then walked to the other side, silently watching. After pausing for a few seconds, he said, "I'll go get you something to eat." He disappeared into a sewer. Long Fei stood in the midst of the ruins and looked up at his surroundings. This place seemed to be the central point of the sewer system. The surroundings were all tunnels, the sewers turned into small waterfalls, and these ruins seemed to have thought of an island. If there was no bad smell, from a distance, it was more like a fairyland. Long Fei looked around at the buildings around him. There were still carvings on the buildings. All of them were carvings that Long Fei had never seen before. Not even in Bliss Temple. Ancient Temple. Long Fei walked to the scripture library mentioned by the Bick and looked at the dusty books. The covers of these books had already been corroded to the point that they couldn't be seen clearly. What scripture? I don't know. Long Fei flipped through the first book, and all of the words inside were in words that he did not understand, Tadao language. The second one, it was the same. This is called a scripture? This is called a gobbledygook, right? Long Fei's head was spinning so fast that his scalp was numb just by looking at those tadpole-like words. The thing he hated the most in his life was studying. He flipped through the pages one by one. He could not understand a single word. However, when Long Fei flipped to the last book, his expression tightened. Holy Buddha, gobbledygook. Suddenly, the remnant soul of the Tai Ten King was awakened. The Sleeping Beauty opened her eyes. Chapter 1914. Unable to cultivate. Chapter 1914. Unable to cultivate. Universal large world had 10 gobbledygookess. Each one is different. The stars in the sky, the demon god of the human beast, the Tao, the Buddha. There were 3 stars. Tao and Buddha were rather special existences. Especially Buddha. If the star book S could be said to be the most mysterious, then the Holy Buddha S who were ranked 10th were the most special existences. It even lasted longer than the star book. Since his first master, he had never appeared again. Who would have thought? He actually appeared in the Holy Buddhahood, and in a trash heap at that. Long Fei looked at the 4 words Holy Buddha gobbledygook and felt the remnant souls of the Tai Tan King and the Sleeping Beauty's sudden awakening. He could not help but ask, is this one of the 10 great gobbledygook-s? The Sleeping Beauty immediately said, "Open." Long Fei gently flipped through the pages. The words inside were the same as the others. They were all tadpoles like commas, and his mind was in a mess. He didn't understand. However, the Sleeping Beauty said affirmatively, "It is a Holy Buddha gobbledygook, a Buddha among the 10 great gobbledygook." Are you lucky? Long Fei's eyes flashed with a light. He had randomly picked up a book of gobbledygook. His luck was good, but Long Fei had a relationship with cultivation. Girl, how do we cultivate this? He had only comprehended the beginning of the star book. He had merged with a Death Star. Because of time constraints, Long Fei did not have much time to cultivate his star book. However, the power of the planet bombing was very strong. It could be considered a type of supergroup injury cultivation technique. What kind of power would the Holy Buddha gobbledygook be hiding? The Sleeping Beauty shook her head. The primordial 10 great gobbledygook. Every single one of them have their own special characteristics. Although the Holy Buddha gobbledygook is ranked 10th, it is still the most special existence, and only one master knows of its cultivation method. The Star Book can only cultivate after fusing with the stars. This Holy Buddha gobbledygook, I don't know. Long Fei asked, Titan King, what about you? You know? The Titan King within the Devil's Sword also shook his head. I have only heard of the existence of the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook, and have never seen it before. There are very few legends about the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook. I'm afraid no one in the entire universal large world knows how to cultivate the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook. Holy *T. Long Fei was depressed. I got my hands on a powerful gobbledygook, but I don't know how to cultivate it. The Sleeping Beauty said, Master, the appearance of every gobbledygook is an opportunity. If you discover the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook, then you will definitely find a way to cultivate it in the Holy Buddhahood. Maybe you need to become a son of God or a Buddha to be able to comprehend this. Long Fei. He was somewhat speechless. He did not know a thing about Buddhism. If he could not even make it through the first round, how could he become a son of God? He still wanted to comprehend the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook to face tomorrow's examination, but the gobbledygook was still a gobbledygook, an existence that he could not understand at all. As for becoming a son of God, that was why Long Fei wanted to obtain the Buddha root. Buddha? How could someone like him, whose hands were filled with blood, become a Buddha? Long Fei smiled bitterly and said, I will pay attention. The Holy Buddha gobbledygook was taken back into the space ring. It was also at this time. Long Fei himself did not sense it. The 3 Holy Buddhas in his body trembled for a moment, and then a beam of Holy Buddha light directly fell into the midst of the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook. A ray of light appeared on the gobbledygook, and it instantly quieted down. Nothing happened. Long Fei also did not discover anything. Not long later, Bick brought some food back to the ruins and said apologetically, The restaurants don't have much to eat, just a few steamed buns. Don't mind it. The steamed bun felt cold and hard, so Long Fei didn't mind. He peeled off the skin on the outside and started to eat. Bick asked, Head chef, what do you think? Long Fei's eyes stared straight at Bick. Bick scratched his bald head and laughed. I thought you were really son of God, but it turns out you can't understand it just like me. I heard that teleporting son of God can understand any Buddhist scripture, so you really aren't son of God. Are you kidding me? Long Fei cursed angrily. Actually, he had struck gold and found a book on gobbledygook. This was a Buddha root, a super treasure that even son of God could not compare to by tens of thousands of times, even though he did not know how to cultivate it yet. He estimated that once he completely comprehended the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook, he would be the Buddhist disciple that ruled over the entire world. He would be Tathagata, the Lord of Buddha. However, Long Fei did not say this, so no one could say it. Bick chuckled and said, Don't be discouraged. Aren't you worried about tomorrow's Buddhist examinations? Don't worry, just hold on to me. He looked extremely confident. Long Fei asked, What method do you have? The Bick said, The mountain man has his own brilliant plan. Just you wait. Ha ha. He didn't know anything about Buddhism. From the first day he was abandoned here, he swore to himself that nothing would be important to him since he started cultivating. He wanted to cultivate and become a martial Buddha. That was his goal. After eating his fill, Long Fei searched through the ruins again, but didn't find anything that could be devoured by the profound, secret blasting fist. Bick on the other side, however, had fallen into a deep sleep. It seemed he really wasn't worried about the Buddhist cultivation exam tomorrow at all. The next morning, the plaza of the Buddha city's extreme temple was packed with people. Hundreds of thousands of people were participating in the examination. All sorts of things. There were all sorts of things. Long Face squeezed into the crowd, his eyebrows knitted. He did not have the slightest confidence in the Buddhist examinations. The Buddhist cultivation assessment was the first stage. It was also the most basic hurdle. Furthermore, to the people of Holy Buddhahood, the Buddhist cultivation assessment was the simplest stage. However, to Long Fei, who was a Buddhist cultivator who knew nothing at all, it was too difficult. Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. "Thief, you're courting death. You dare to steal from me? Beat him up! Beat him up! Beat him to death!" Bang! Bang! A thief was surrounded by 5 strong men and was being beaten on the ground. A group of people were surrounding the thief. Long Fei looked over and realized that the person pressed down on the ground was none other than the great demon king of Bic. Immediately, Long Fei released his strength, instantly forcing everyone around him to retreat, and quickly rushed towards that group of people. When he got closer, the Bic kept winking at him, telling him not to attack. The young master fiercely kicked Bic in the chest and shouted, "Kid, why didn't you ask who I am? How dare you steal my things? I'll bore you." Bic looked to be in a sorry state, covered in mud, but there were no injuries on his body at all. Those people's punches and kicks were as if they were scratching an itch. Bic grabbed onto that person's hand and said, "I don't dare, I don't dare, I don't dare anymore." Humph! With a fierce smash, Bic was thrown into a trash heap not far away. He laughed complacently. "Today, this old man will be happy, and I'll spare your life." Long Fei immediately followed, looking at the blood at the corner of Bic's mouth. He asked excitedly, "What are you doing?" The Bic held a piece of paper in his hand and said, "The answer to the Buddhist test." Chapter 19:15, The Awakening of the Second Seal of Chapter 19:15, The Awakening of the Second Seal of the Answer to the Examination. Standard answer. Bic's face was full of excitement as he said, "I said that I have a way, so I definitely have a way. How about it?" Long Face started to understand why the Bic did not let him do anything just now. He was even wondering, with Bic's power, how could it not be easy to deal with those evil slaves? Looking at the answer in the Bic's hands, he could not help but ask, "How do you know that he has the answer?" The Bic said in a low voice, "He is the illegitimate son of the great clan elder of the Buddhist temple. The Buddhist examinations are all given by the Buddhist temple, but if he does not have an answer, who would have an answer? The entire Holy Buddhahood wanted to become the Son of God. Even if he couldn't, he hoped that his family members would become the Son of God. Bic was very clear about this in his heart. Long Fei gave him a thumbs up and said, "You have a plan." The Bic smiled slightly and said, "The Buddhist examinations are easy." Not long after, the Buddhist cultivation examination began. The huge square was filled with people. Just as the Bic had said, the questions were really set by the Buddhist temple, and their answers were all standard. At this point, Long Fei no longer had to worry. However, he never thought that he could cheat in the Son of God selection. Furthermore, he observed that many people around him were cheating. The Buddhist examination was over. Bic walked over to Long Fei's side and said, "Big Chef, how are you going to thank me today?" At this moment, a group of people rushed out from the crowd and said, "It's him. Catch him and beat him to death." A group of evil slaves rushed out. The one leading them was the rich young master whose answer had been stolen. "You dog, you stole my answer. Do you think you can hurt me like this? Don't you know who I am?" The rich youth's eyes turned sinister as he became angry. Beat him to death. The Bick smiled slightly and said, "The reason I let you hit me earlier was because I didn't want to fight. Now that the assessment has ended, you think you can move me even a little?" Without waiting for the group of evil slaves to rush over, Bick took the lead and rushed out. Bang, bang, bang. After easily beating a few evil slaves to the ground, Bick looked at the rich young master and said, "You want to beat me to death? Come on, come on, come on and beat me to death." The rich youth's face turned white as he stepped back. You, what do you want?" Bick said, "Didn't you want to beat me to death? Now you ask me what I want. Then I'll say, I want to beat you to death." Not waiting for him to finish, the rich young master immediately knelt on the ground and said, "Please spare my life. I won't dare to do it again." The Bick felt disdain and said, "You think people without backbone would be able to enter the Son of God's selection? You think you're worthy?" Bick despised this kind of people. He didn't have the slightest ability to rely on the domineering influence of his family. However, the instant Bick relaxed, the young master suddenly took action. His attack was a direct attack at the yellow dragon, instantly grabbing Bick's throat. A sudden explosion. The power was extremely ferocious. Voila! The surrounding crowd was surprised and surprised. Crap! That kid is going to die. It's too fast. This is too sinister. Bick also did not expect that everything would happen so fast. But no matter how fast the young and rich were, in Long Fei's eyes, they were as slow as ants. In that instant, Long Fei's figure moved, blocking in front of Bick. At this moment, the holy Buddha light that he had received from his body quietly stirred, but Long Fei did not sense it as his fist punched out. Buzz! The fist and the fist collided. Long Fei's arm trembled slightly. "Your strength is not small." The young master retreated, his eyes staring straight at Long Fei. He said coldly, "Humph, you have helpers? Then get down together." Bick's back was covered in cold sweat. As soon as he finished, the Bick reacted quickly this time, striking ahead of Long Fei. Bang! In that instant, the two fists collided, and both retreated a few steps. Bick was in a bad mood. A playboy like him had the power to be tyrannical in his family. He hated people like this the most. With a wave of his fists, the seal of on his back started to shine. Again, his footsteps became heavy. Buzz! The rich young master did not show any weakness and said, "Do you think I'm really afraid of you?" Boom! The wide young master's footsteps also shook as he heavily charged forward, using all his strength to meet the blow. Rumble! Rumble! The two fists collided, and at this moment, the clothes on the upper half of the young and wide man's body suddenly ripped apart with a chi-la sound. On his back, a Buddhist light shot into the sky, and a huge seal of appeared. Buzz! The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. Lord of Buddha Mark! In almost an instant, all of them kneeled down. The Bick's expression turned sinister as he looked at the rich young master's body that was covered in Buddhist light and scars all over his body. His forehead trembled. Another seal of has awakened. The rich young master had a stupefied expression. Looking at his fist, he could feel the power within his body. His entire body froze on the spot. Lord of Buddha's mark, seal of. He looked at Bick, and similarly, he felt the same kind of power from Bick's body. This feeling was also the same in Bick. They were both seal of. It was also the Lord of Buddha's mark. They were like brothers, able to sense each other. You awaken as well. The wealthy young master looked at the Bick. Bick did not deny it, but his gaze was looking at Long Fei. Just now, Long Fei had saved him with a single move. Could it be that with another move, Long Fei had awakened the seal of in the rich young master's body? Only Son of God could do it. Was it really the Son of God? But why couldn't he understand those Buddhist scriptures? Why does Dover know nothing? Bick's heart was very complicated. Who is fighting here? Capture all of them. Dozens of enforcement monks rushed out and were shocked when they saw the swastika on the back of the rich young master. The rich young master immediately said, "We were just sparring just now. We weren't." Not waiting for him to finish, the law enforcement monk shouted, "If you are going to use force, then use force. Capture all of them immediately." At the same time, he looked at Long Fei and said, "And you, arrest them together." The rich young master took a step forward and said, "Don't be rash, don't be rash." Bick lowered his voice and said, "Big Chef, don't be rash. These are all monks' words. If we offend them, we will disqualify them for the Son of God's selection." Long Fei smiled faintly. Another martial Buddha awakened. A bliss temple. Can you feel it? Seal of martial Buddha has awakened. It's already the second one. Only the Son of God can awaken the power in their bodies. The Son of God is definitely in the Western Buddhist city. The first thing Bliss Temple felt was the awakening of the two seal of. Similarly, Evil Spirit Tribe also felt it. Chapter 1916, Genuine Evil Spirit Tribe. Chapter 1916, Genuine Evil Spirit Tribe Bliss Temple could feel any unusual undulations of Buddhist light. They had sensed it ever since the awakening of the first seal of On Bick. This was the second seal of awakening. Start. It was because the Bick was the Son of God. But when the second seal of awakened, they immediately thought that the person who possessed the seal of was not the Son of God, but the martial Buddha who protected the Son of God. Martial Buddha had the strongest fighting strength. I can't let go of the people I've been in contact with these few days. You must investigate thoroughly for me. It is very likely that the Son of God is among them. There is a person called Chief Wang. He has been by the side of the first seal of. Could he be the Son of God? Chief Wang. Is there such a person? How could Son of God be a chef? Even if Son of God is useless, he would not be a big chef. Understood. Long brows frowned. The appearance of the seal of caused him to shiver slightly. This was completely outside of his expectations, and there were no signs. More importantly, no one could control him. There were still 6 people left. As long as they paid close attention to the similarities between the 6, they would definitely be able to find the Son of God. Martial Buddha awakened. Only then would the Son of God appear. Now, it was still the same as before. Anyone could possibly be the Son of God. A supervising temple. The 3 of them were locked up together. No one had cared about them since they were imprisoned. The Bick could not sit still and said, "Isn't your father an elder of the Buddhist temple? Can't you just let him come out?" The rich young master smiled bitterly. He came out? He would never come forward for me. Compared to leaving the supervisor temple, he was more curious about the 10,000-word mark. He asked, "How did your seal of awaken? Is it awakening the seal of would allow you to become a martial Buddha?" Bick rolled his eyes at him and said, "How would I know? However," the Bick looked at Long Fei and then said, "Before we become the martial Buddha, we must find the Son of God and protect him. Only when the Son of God becomes Buddha will we have the chance to become the martial Buddha." Son of God? Who is the Son of God? Right, isn't the power in the martial Buddha's body all awakened by the Son of God? My power was awakened by you. So are you the Son of God? That's not right. Your body is the same as mine in terms of strength. You should also have a seal of on your back. The rich young master analyzed. Who exactly is the Son of God? Bick was agitated. How would I know? He only had doubts in his heart. However, is Long Fei a son of God? He couldn't be sure. And even if he could, he wouldn't say it out loud, because Martial Buddha's duty was to protect Son of God, to protect him with his life. Oh, the rich youth murmured in his heart, if it is not him, then who is it? Could it be that Son of God is among the crowd? Half a moment later, he looked at Long Fei and asked, Brother, what's your name? Why isn't there even the slightest hint of Buddhist energy on your body? Every Buddha cultivator, no matter if they were the martial arts training or the Buddhist cultivators, no matter how weak they were, would feel traces of the Buddhist aura on their body. Bick immediately said, he is called Chief Wang. He is just a chef. What kind of Buddhist aura could he possibly have? Imperceptibly, he was already protecting Long Fei. Long Fei laughed. The rich young master nodded and said, Oh, but your move was very powerful. It's not like you're some chef, right? Bick was very direct. He took Long Fei's identity plate and showed it to him, then said, If you aren't a chef, would your name be Chief Wang? Tomorrow is the martial arts training assessment. Could it be that we are going to lock this place up and do nothing? Success in changing the topic. The rich youth frowned and murmured, The supervising temple is very strict. Normally, there are almost no people who want to leave alive. Bick was stunned. Damn, we should have resisted it back then. Resist the monk. That's the same as going against the Buddha city. You know just how serious the consequences are. Long Fei closed his eyes. He was not worried at all. He had passed all 18 levels of hell, but this was just a prison. However, he wanted to see why these people had arrested them. As for the swastika on the rich young master's body, he didn't know why, because he didn't notice that the Buddhist light in his body surged for a moment. It was really because of this Buddhist light that the seal of in the rich young master's body was activated. The rich young master sat on the ground and said excitedly, Teleporting seal of is the best imprint of the martial Buddha, a total of 8 people. In my previous life, 8 people were 8 brothers. Bick rolled his eyes at him and said, Who was your brother in the previous life? The rich young master was also uninterested. Tell me, where are the other 6 brothers? Have you awakened? Bick said, So what if I have awakened? So what if he didn't awaken? You're still thinking of them coming to save you. The magnanimous young master said, If everything is awakened, then the next step would be the awakening of the Son of God. At that time, wouldn't the 8 of us martial Buddha-s and the Son of God-s run rampant through the holy Buddhahood? That scene, ha ha ha. So excited. Bick rolled his eyes at the young master, his eyes also filled with anticipation. 8 martial Buddha-s, a Son of God. It could be said that this was the strongest power of the holy Buddhahood. However, who is the Son of God? Bick looked at Long Fei, who had closed his eyes, and thought, Is it him? They continued talking. The 2 of them slowly fell asleep, a smile hanging on their lips. That kind of smile was filled with excitement. Late at night, suddenly, Long Fei slightly opened his eyes, and in the darkness, it was as if a streak of black lightning had flashed across his eyes. Standing in front of his cell was a man. He was standing in a black cloak with eyes as deep as black gems. Long Fei could immediately tell that it was a woman, because his chest was very big. The eyes were looking back at him. Their eyes met. In that instant, Long Fei felt a strong chill, and his right arm suddenly moved, as if a demon had suddenly awoken. Long Fei's mind slightly sank as he softly said, Evil spirit! The lady's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness, and said coldly, Everyone says that Son of God is born with the ability to sense evil. Seems like you are the legendary Son of God. As soon as he finished, the cold suddenly rose. The sound of frozen ice could be heard throughout the dungeon. His blood vessels seemed to be frozen solid. The woman did not move. Long Fei did not move because Long Fei wasn't confident, and he wasn't sure if he could even use the blasting fist. The woman in front of him was the real evil spirit. After a long time, the woman's ice-cold gaze slightly contracted, and she said, "I won't kill you now because you have yet to awaken the other martial Buddha, so I will kill them one by one during the test of the martial arts training." Chapter 1917, Seal of People. Chapter 1917, Seal of People. He came mysteriously and left quietly. It was like a deity disappearing without a trace. He disappeared with the dense aura of an evil spirit. Long Fei was a little puzzled, looking at his own devil's hand. I discovered that he became a son of God so easily. The reason why it could sense the different evil spirit chi on the woman's body was because the devil's hand's power was surging. However, Long Fei never thought that the woman would see him as a son of God. If only I was really son of God. That's not right. I must become a son of God. Master Tian Shu is still waiting for me to save her. Long Fei's eyes became firm, and he asked, "I wonder how Master Tian Shu is doing. If he fell from the sky, would he be dead or alive?" Long Fei was very worried in his heart. Not long after, the Bic woke up, looked at Long Fei, and asked, "Head chef, what happened?" Long Fei recovered his expression and shook his head, saying, "Nothing. You must be careful during tomorrow's martial arts training assessment." Long Fei reminded her. Bic laughed. "Don't worry, I have never been afraid of anyone during the martial arts training assessment. I will definitely not lose." He thought to himself, "My goal is to become a man of the martial Buddha." Early morning, the supervising temple's monk suddenly came. Without saying a word, he immediately let the three of them out. At the entrance of the supervising temple, "Bastard, I've lost all my face for you. Pa! Pa!" Before Long Fei could react, an old man pulled out a vine from his hands and slapped it onto the young master's chest. His clothes were ripped apart, and his flesh was lacerated. Just looking at it made him feel a burning pain. The rich young master lowered his head, not daring to speak. The elder's eyes were filled with rage as he said, "You're just like that lowly mother of yours, useless trash." A trace of anger flashed through the young master's eyes. The old man's eyes grew vicious as he whipped the young lord again, not caring about the young lord's life or death. "If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have let you come to this world." Long Fei found it a little hard to listen any longer. He took a step forward and said faintly, "Why didn't your father shoot you into the wall then?" The old man stared at Long Fei coldly. Without saying a word, he lashed out with his whip towards Long Fei and bellowed, "Who are you to have the qualifications to speak to me?" Without waiting for the whip to fall, Bic's body moved slightly. The rich young master's body also moved. They couldn't help but to automatically protect Long Fei. Long Fei, on the other hand, was a step ahead of them. He grabbed onto the whip and whipped it hard, immediately snatching it away. However, Long Fei glanced at the rich young master and in the end endured it. "You dare to snatch my whip? You dog, I think you're tired of living. Men, arrest them again." The old man's eyes blazed with anger. Long Fei felt a chill between his brows, and the killing intent in his aura burst out as he said solemnly, "Whoever freaking moved, this daddy wants their life." He didn't care. He was already very unhappy. If he displeased Long Fei again, he would have to die. The few people behind the old man did not dare to move. Bic shouted coldly, "We are people that have been awakened by the seal of. To dare lay a hand on us is to be disrespectful to Son of God. You, a mere Buddhist temple elder, what are you? You dare to hit the future martial Buddha. Do you believe that I can get thousands of believers to remove your head?" The Bic said fiercely, The old man's eyes widened. Sealov? Humph, humph. You think I will believe you? Who would believe it? How can a lowly bastard like him be qualified to become a martial Buddha? Go and take a look on the main street. Who doesn't have swastika on their back? How could a lowly person become a noble martial Buddha? Absolutely impossible. He was very clear that a rich young master would not be able to become a martial Buddha. It was simply impossible to become a martial Buddha. Bick was startled. What do you mean? The old man laughed coldly. What I mean is the so-called seal of S you guys are talking about are just tattoos, just a little bit of Buddhist energy from your body activating the golden light, creating the illusion of a seal of awakening. Do you think anyone would believe you? Ha ha ha. This trick of yours is completely decimated by others. Go take a look on the street. Who doesn't have seal of on their back? Humph. Seal of. It's the mark of the Lord of Buddha. I want to become the martial Buddha. You, a lowly person, have dreamed your entire life. The elder stared coldly at the young master and said, "Don't embarrass me again. Otherwise, I will make you disappear just like your mother disappeared." Sinister and sinister. He clenched his hands into fists, and his joints cracked. If it was according to Long Fei's personality, the old man would have already lost his head. However, after all, this was a family matter for the rich and young. It wasn't good for others to interfere. The old man walked away. Bick looked at the rich young master with a puzzled expression and asked, "Is he really your father? How could you have such a father? Aren't you a popinjay?" Why? He couldn't understand. Yesterday, he had brought along a popinjay that was tyrannically overbearing like an evil slave. Today was the day it turned into such a miserable state. The youth's fist loosened. In his eyes, I have always been a lowly bastard. If it wasn't for that bit of blood relation, I would have died a long time ago. Long Fei said slightly, "Humans are not noble or lowly. The so-called noble or lowly is only something that the world imposes on oneself. Since he has treated you as a lowly and lowly person, then use your noble body and give him a ruthless slap." The rich and wealthy young master looked at Long Fei and asked, "A noble body?" Long Fei said, "Become a martial Buddha." The rich young master said, "But am I really the person Lord of Buddha has chosen?" He didn't even believe himself, even though he himself clearly knew that he had awakened a seal of, but he can become a martial Buddha. Bick said, "Other people's seal of are tattoos, and ours are truly the truth. Just by this alone, we have to prove it to others." Long Fei said indifferently, "Let's go. The martial arts training examination is about to begin." The three of them walked out of the supervisor temple onto the street. He discovered, just as the rich and young father had said, the streets were filled with half-naked people with a large swastika on their backs. Some were tattooed. Some people were even more straightforward, using brushes to draw on the paper, sweating a little, and having a back full of ink. That scene, Long Fei was so shocked that he couldn't even speak. Damn, a bunch of retards. Everyone dreamed of becoming a son of God. Even if one could not become a son of God, being able to become a martial Buddha was a supreme honor. The monk went crazy as well. Suddenly, the Bick pointed in the distance and said, "Look, white cloth saint." Long Fei and the rich youth looked over at the same time, and it was also at this time that the center of Long Fei's brows tightened. Is she the evil spirit that appeared last night? Chapter 1918. You've been exposed. Chapter 1918. You've been exposed. Long Fei did not change his expression. The lady in white smiled at Long Fei. The two of them seemed to have reached a tacit understanding. The martial arts training assessment had also begun. In the central plaza of Buddha City, 1,000 monks walked out with Vajra rod in hand. The martial arts training test was not about challenging each other, but about wanting the monk to issue a challenge. It is indeed different. Bick hugged his fists as he became excited. Big Chef, the monk who held us tightly in the prison, was also there. Don't let me match him. Otherwise, he would definitely beat the crap out of him. Long Fei asked, I only wanted the monk to issue a challenge. Then what about the people who passed the examination? The rich young master looked into the sky and said, Today's assessment will allow 100 people to enter the Bliss Temple. Bliss Temple is the best examination venue. Meet Lord of Buddha. The Bick said, even though we say that we are meeting the Lord of Buddha, it is actually just being baptized by the Holy Buddha. Let's see who will be able to last until the end. Who exactly will become the Son of God is not something that can be decided by anyone. Long Fei slightly nodded and said, Seems like it really is quite a fancy job. Son of God, Buddha root. I've got it. Long Fei could not help but clench his fists. At this time, the rich and young father, the great clan elder of the Buddha temple, stepped onto the stage and said, The martial arts training assessment will now begin. Only 100 people have the qualifications to enter the Bliss Temple. I hope you guys will show me 120,000 points of strength to prove yourselves. Don't be like some people who would discredit their families by putting on a fake act. The squat's eyes darkened. Long Fei lightly patted his shoulder and said, Prove it to him, prove yourself, and it'll be equivalent to slapping his face. The rich young master nodded heavily. The 1,000 monk as heavily shouted, showing their extraordinary might. The Bick rubbed his hands together and said excitedly, Everyone says that the monk is the strongest fighting force in the Buddha city. They all possess extremely strong Buddhist, holy energy. I must flatten them today. While they were talking, the 1,000 examinees whose names were called walked forward. Among them were people with seal-off tattoos on their backs. Fight. Begin. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions sounded out. Before anyone could react, all 1,000 challengers were sent flying. Not a single one of them succeeded in their challenge. All failures. Next batch. Long Fei's eyes trembled slightly. Damn, so fast. The strength of these monks are very strong. Their bodies have all been baptized in Buddhist light, and it's hard to harm them even a little with their diamond bones. Half a minute later, boom, boom, boom. Another large number of examinees were sent flying. Every single person was able to execute 10 moves. The monk was unparalleled in power. Too strong. These monks are too strong. Who would be able to pass the examination? Not at all. What kind of Son of God selection is this? Maybe the Son of God has already been eliminated from the competition. I am the seal of awakened. You can't treat me like this. I am the future martial Buddha. I am the future martial Buddha. I am still a son of God. Various discussions sounded in the crowd. The 2 consecutive batches of challengers had all failed, and the monk was completely unscathed. The difference in power was simply too great. Monk was an elite guard amongst the Buddha city, and was also the person with the strongest fighting strength. In the entire Buddha city, they were the only ones who relied on them to fight against evil spirits, so their cultivation strength was naturally not simple. The next batch of names I have. Bick laughed excitedly. Let's see how I'll cripple them. Next batch. Bick walked up excitedly. See how I'll take care of them. Bick strode forward. He directly walked in front of the monk that caught him yesterday and said, Yesterday you were monk, so I didn't dare to touch you. Today you are my assessment subject, so I will smash you to the ground. The monk was expressionless. Bick said, Ignore them as much as you want. Begin the challenge. Boom. Bick moved his body, his muscles swelling up. The clothes on his upper body immediately burst apart, the muscles piece by piece, their lines distinct and full of explosive power. However, the seal-ov on his back did not appear. It was not because he had disappeared. Rather, it was because the real seal-ov would not reveal a large swastika on its back like the one in question did, and would instead hide in its body. The monk's eyes moved, the diamond staff in his hand struck down. Rod shadows filled the sky. This technique was incredibly powerful. Bick took a step forward and stood still as a boulder. Come. Boom. In that moment, the Buddhist light on the Bick flashed, and the seal-ov suddenly appeared behind him. Buzz. His fists were like heavy cannons as they were blasted away while resisting the pole. Bang, bang, bang. The monk's chest caved in as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Bick did not let go. He quickly advanced forward, and every step he took, he exploded. I said that I will smash you to the ground, and I will definitely smash you to the ground. Boom, 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 was unable to endure the continuous barrage of attacks, and was forced to lie flat on the ground. Bick disdainfully said, "Awesome, right? Monk is amazing. I will become the martial Buddha." Monk's eyes darkened as he stared at Bick. However, Bick ignored him at this moment. Challenge ended. Amongst the 1,000 people, only Bick won. Everyone looked at Bick. Bick swept his gaze across the entire audience, dragging it as if it was 250 years old, and shouted, "Do you know what seal-ov are? You imposters." TCH. A brisk stroke. Bick returned to Longfei's side and laughed. "Big Chef, how is it? Isn't he handsome enough?" The rich young master said, "You are too ostentatious to become the first target of evil spirit tribes' attacks like this. You have already been completely exposed." Longfei looked at Bick and said, "You're handsome, right?" Bick was speechless. Next batch. Another sound rang out. The rich young master said excitedly, "It's my turn." Bick looked at the rich young master with disdain as he said, "Let's see how you can hide yourself now." At this moment, from a new monk, he should be the head monk of the monk hall and also the strongest monk, not waiting for the rich and young to choose. The monk stood in front of the rich young master and said, "Your opponent is me." The rich young master looked at his father and thought to himself, "Mother, I will prove myself to you. I will want everyone to prove myself to me. Begin the challenge." As soon as he finished, suddenly, with a flash of white, a monk was pushed back several hundred meters. The white-clothed female instantly defeated Monk. Everyone was dumbfounded. This martial skill was so strong that it could instantly kill someone. Longfei's eyes flashed. So powerful. It was also at this time. The rich and young people were being forced back again and again. He was about to be relegated, and in the end, the rich youngster's eyes widened. With a roar, the seal-ov behind him also released a ray of light. With a move of his fists, he directly smashed the diamond staff apart with a single punch. Victory. Chapter 1919, Yiksha, Wind Acupoints. Chapter 1919, Yiksha, Wind Acupoints, the magnificence of the white cloth saint, the sudden outburst of a rich and young master. The entire audience was stunned. So powerful. These two are too strong. That white cloth saint has lotus imprints on his hands and feet. Could he be that son of God? How could that hedonistic and evil young master be the person selected by the Lord of Buddha? The rich young master glanced at his father coldly, then turned around and left. His father's expression darkened. He had seen with his own eyes the light of the seal-ov on the back of the broad young master. It was definitely not an ordinary Buddhist light. Absolutely not. Could it be he was really the person that Lord of Buddha had chosen? At this moment, his heart ached. His face was burning as if someone had slapped him. Zhang Xian's face darkened. The rich young master walked back to Long Fei's side and said, "Thank you." The Bic laughed and said, "Brat, you've been exposed as well. If you say I've been exposed, then you've also been exposed." Long Fei laughed. Bic said, "Head chef, you are next." "How are you going to do that?" Long Fei looked at the white cloth saint in the distance. Coincidentally, the white cloth saint was also looking at Long Fei. Their eyes met. A kitchen knife chops the wires. Killing intent. Next batch. As soon as he finished, a few more monks were replaced. Long Fei walked forward. Without waiting for Long Fei to find the challenger, a monk stood in front of Long Fei, and his eyes darkened. Long Fei's devil's hand began to move. Long Fei was slightly shocked. "Evil spirit." The monk smiled slightly and said, "What little master said is right. You can indeed feel the existence of evil spirits. It seems that you really are a teleporting son of God." "Since that's the case," monk smiled and said, then he should be dead." Without waiting for the host to start talking, the monk attacked first. Evil spirit, devilish flames. However, those low-level evil spirits, including the Jiekong's kind of bosses, were all low-level evil spirits. The real evil spirit tribes people would not release their devil flames. They were just like a normal spirit race. Even if you were in the crowd, you wouldn't notice. The monk in front of him was a real evil spirit. He suddenly made his move. However, without any hesitation, Long Fei turned his face to look at the white cloth saint in the distance and smiled faintly. The idea moved. Yin Yang Limitless Blasting Fist. Boom. His fist sank, crimson red. Both of his fists locked onto the charging war god as he punched out. The power of Yin and Yang was invisible and intangible. Move. Buzz. Exploding forth. Rumble. Monk's body split open in midair, and a stream of devil fire was suddenly released from his body, enveloping the entire plaza. Everyone was shocked, and their faces were overwhelmed with shock. Evil spirit. It's an evil spirit. How did an evil spirit become a monk? He's a true evil spirit tribe. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for defeating High Evil Spirit for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 holy power value points, and 1 metamorphic energy value point. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Evil Spirit Seal. Do you wish to cultivate it? Evil Spirit Seal. Long Fei hesitated for a moment, then said with the idea controlling his metamorphic energy value, "Inject the metamorphic energy value." A perverted energy poured into the evil spirit seal. At this point, his cultivation technique was undergoing a rapid metamorphosis. In just 3 seconds, the system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for obtaining the Wind Acupuncture Point and releasing his training Wind Acupuncture Point. In that instant, Long Fei immediately thought of an island anime, Yiksha, the Wind Acupuncture Point of the meat, Lumage. Damn! Is it really that amazing? The Dog Yiksha was also an anime that Long Fei liked on Earth. Its wind tunnel was used by Melmage to absorb all kinds of monsters and demons. It was like a black hole. Instantly, Long Fei moved and said, "Cultivate." Buzz. The devil's hand moved suddenly, a black hole appearing in its right palm that looked like it was spinning, suddenly spinning and absorbing all the evil spirit demon flames that were exploding in the air. Long Fei didn't feel anything. However, but his devil's hand began to tremble. He was trembling in excitement. It was as though he had been injected with chicken blood. When the Wind Acupoint absorbed the evil spirit chi, the devil's hand transformed the evil spirit demon flame into devil's power, and the combination of the two was flawless. However, Long Fei was a little worried. Even if he completely recovered his strength right now, he would still not be able to control the entire strength of the devil's hand. When its power becomes unparalleled, can it be controlled? How strong was the Fiend King in the dome? Long Fei did not forget. If he allowed the devil's hand to grow stronger, would it be like what the Tian Shu master said? Would he be possessed? When the Grim Reaper tried to seize his body, he didn't succeed. The Infernal King wants to possess. He said to possess her just like that. Long Fei clenched both his fists and said, I still want to snatch his life. Long Fei regained his composure. The surrounding people all looked at Long Fei. Amongst the crowd, the white cloth saint had already disappeared. The Bic rushed forward and said, Head chef, what power did you have just now? You directly killed an evil spirit. Wow. Are you a cook or not? The rich young master said, That's not important anymore. Look at the looks people around you have. When they look at you, they all become incomparably respectful. Ha ha ha. Congratulations, big chef. You've also been exposed. You killed someone from Evil Spirit Tribe. Evil Spirit Tribe will never let you go. Ha ha ha. Bic did not mind the fuss and laughed loudly. Long Fei smiled and thought, Evil Spirit Tribe, the more I get, the better it is. I'm just worried that I won't have enough EXP to level up. And right now, I am training in the wind acupuncture point. If I combine the power of the devil's hand, 10,000 evil spirits won't be a problem. Long Fei was filled with confidence. The wind acupoints were able to absorb tons and tons of monsters and ghosts. You failed. In a corner, a black-cloaked man coldly said. On the other side of the wall, the woman in white's face was gloomy and cold. There was a trace of fear in her eyes as she said, This is just a test. I didn't do anything. Where did the failure come from? Humph. You better not fail, or else you will never be able to return to the spirit race, and you will never see him again. With that, the cloaked man disappeared. Cold sweat trickled down White Cloth Saint's forehead as his eyes turned heavy. In that instant, he also disappeared on the spot. Too savage. The Evil Spirit Tribe is actually mingling with the monk. We don't even know about it. Luckily that brat was not the son of God. If he was the son of God and was killed by the evil spirit, then the elders of the Bliss Temple were all furious. However, they would only be angry, but they would not do anything. Long Brow slightly frowned. When the Son of God comes, he will definitely go through all kinds of tribulations. Even if the evil spirit and holy maiden personally appear, he won't die. Otherwise, he wouldn't be Son of God. Pay close attention to that person called Chief Wong. I keep having the feeling that he's not simple. Chapter 1920. Going to Bliss Temple. Chapter 1920. Going to Bliss Temple after the evil spirit storm, the exam continued. Amongst the numerous examinees, it took a full day for only 100 of them to pass. 100,000 examinees. 100 people leveled up. 1 in 1,000. Head chef, today you can be considered to be in the limelight. Tomorrow, you will be able to enter the Bliss Temple. That is the Buddhist temple after all. Bic was excited. How many people dream of that place? Bic looked at the rich young master and then said, Even the rich young master's father is not qualified to enter. Long Fei smiled faintly. He had been to the Bliss Temple before, so he did not mind at all. His goal was the Son of God. It's the Buddha route. As for the rest, he didn't think too much about it. Moreover, when Long Browed and those monks saw him leaving, it was like he had slapped them in the face when they heard him. Long Fei liked the feeling of him slapping them in the face. Long Fei said, Bliss Temple is also extremely dangerous. Just be careful. Bic asked, What's wrong? Could it be that there are people from the Bliss Temple? This is the Sacred Hall. Do the evil spirit tribe people dare to behave atrociously here? Temple, don't dare to act wildly. There was nothing to fear. Although Long Fei had been taking the examination this whole time, he had still been paying attention to the movements of the evil spirit tribe. Why were they so calm during this period of time? They were clearly aware that Bliss Temple was choosing his son of God, but they still remained indifferent. It was simply impossible. The only possibility was that there were people among the exam candidates who were confident enough to pass the first 2 rounds and enter the 3rd round, which is entering the Bliss Temple. Even they wanted to become the Son of God. This way, the entire Bliss Temple wouldn't need to be blown away. This was a brilliant move. It was just that he did not know if the people from Bliss Temple realized this. Today's evil spirit martial Buddha was a type of reminder. How many of the examinees who were ranked in the 100 were evil spirits? The white cloth saint would definitely not enter by themselves. There will definitely be a bloody massacre in tomorrow's Bliss Temple assessment. However, Long Fei was also looking forward to this massacre because, if that happened, he would be able to gain a lot of experience. No matter who, none of them were able to stop him from obtaining the Buddha root. The same goes for White Cloth Saint. Long Fei let out a light breath and said, "In short, listen to everything I say about tomorrow's assessment, and you must be careful in doing so." Bick looked at Long Fei and said, "Do you know something? Ever since you killed the evil spirit monk, you have felt different." Long Fei said in a low voice, "Tomorrow, perhaps there will be a fierce battle. Evil spirit tribe. Lord, everything is ready. We are waiting for your signal tomorrow." An evil spirit Buddha said. The woman nodded slightly and said, "All right, tomorrow we will take down the Bliss Temple in one fell swoop and have the Holy Buddhahood serve us forever." Yes, sir. Everything was ready. Now all she had to do was wait for tomorrow's sunrise. At this time, an evil spirit Buddha walked in and said, "Reporting to my lord that brat Long Fei has been found." The lady's eyes shook and said, "Long Fei?" The evil spirit Buddha said, "Sir, you may not know this, but he also participated in the Son of God selection and passed. You did not find out that it was because his name was not Long Fei, but what kind of Chief Wang he is." Puchi. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The dignified young master of the Mu clan is actually called Chief Wang. I'm dying of laughter. Several evil spirits laughed. The woman's eyes turned cold. The laughter was immediately frozen, and not a single sound could be heard from the hall. He is Long Fei. Long Fei's appearance appeared in her mind, and she said coldly, "I should have known this a long time ago. How could the person who made us wait 1,000 years be a piece of trash?" "Ha ha. All right then. Since you are both a Long Fei and a son of God, then you should die even more." But the woman felt that this was somewhat unbelievable. Son of God should be a member of the Holy Buddhahood, and had his heart set on Buddha, but Long Fei was an outsider with hands covered in blood. How could he be a member of the Son of God? This was too incredible. However, then, thinking about Long Fei's mother's identity, her brows relaxed slightly. If it's the power behind Mu Clan, then forget about Son of God. I'm afraid. Son of God, Xie Zi, it's possible for you to have the identity of a magic captain's. Mu Clan, ancient family of the boundless universe, cooperating with the ancient Long family. It's hard to imagine. However, the two ancient family betting all on one person. Isn't this a little too much? Let me end this tomorrow. I can also return to the spirit race as soon as possible. The woman's heart was boiling because Long Fei was going to die. It was also because her mission was about to end. A bliss temple in the Great Hall. There are still no obvious characteristics. Son of God is still not sure. Tomorrow is the selection for the Buddha's main hall. We have no way of controlling who the Son of God is. This is killing me. Until now, there have only been 2 seal of who have awakened and no one else. In the audience hall, discussions were rife. Everyone was feeling anxious. Who exactly was the Son of God? Would a new Buddha root appear? All of this made them feel like ants on a hot pan. The host said slightly, "How is the investigation of the evil spirit monk that appeared in the assessment, the person he was targeting called Chief Wang?" Just by hearing the name, it is impossible for him to be a son of God. What is there to investigate? Chief Wang, when I think of this name, I feel that it's really funny. There's no need to check. There was no one who took a person with such a sloppy name to heart. Chief Wang. How could a chef be a son of God? The host frowned and said, "Everything is possible. The people of Evil Spirit Tribe could have figured out who the Son of God is before us. If by any chance he is the Son of God." Before he could finish, a few elders burst out laughing. "If he is a son of God, I am still his father." Chief Wang, is it son of God? Ha ha ha. The host frowned in annoyance. The main hall quieted down. The long-browed elder slightly said, "This person indeed needs to be checked, but there is no time left. The Bliss Temple's examination is going to start in a few hours. The most important thing is to strengthen our defense." Long-browed man said lightly. One of the monks said, "I have already sent all of the disciples of the martial Buddha hall out." The next morning, at the entrance of Bliss Temple, all the high-level monks and elders all appeared at the entrance. They were welcoming the new Son of God. One of them must be the Son of God. No matter who it was, they would not dare to neglect it. Suddenly, an elder frowned. "Why is that kid here?" Long brows secretly frowned. At this moment, a Bliss Temple of the Bliss Temple landed in front of Long Fei. He moved his diamond staff and pointed it at Long Fei's face, saying, "You have already been expelled from the Bliss Temple. You are not allowed to step even half a step into this place." Chapter 1921. Buddha's Main Hall, the Good Show begins. Chapter 1921. Buddha's Main Hall. The Good Show begins. Long Fei was a very special existence, because he was the person who brought the Tian Shu back to the holy Buddhahood for the Buddha root, and even more so, the sinner of holy Buddhahood. Of course, Long Fei didn't do anything. If possible, many people wanted Long Fei to disappear from this world. When they saw Long Fei among the crowd, the expressions of many people suddenly changed. When Long Fei appeared, the Evil Spirit Tribe would definitely appear. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch. An elder shouted, "What are you doing among the examinees? Could it be that you, an outsider, can pass the examination? Could it be that you want to become a son of God and take command of a holy Buddhahood?" As soon as he finished, many people began to laugh. "Him? Is he worthy? He's just an outsider. What the heck is he? Does he know what a Buddha is? Do you know what is a son of God?" Although they were all cultivators, there was a huge gap between cultivators. To them, Long Fei would only bring them harm, ridiculing, disdaining, and disdaining. They were not happy with Long Fei's appearance. Bick said softly, "Big Chef, how did you offend the big boss of Bliss Temple? They are not like those monk-s, and are even more untouchable." The young master's gaze tightened. He and Bick looked at each other, and they could not help but move closer to Long Fei. It was as if he was instinctively protecting Long Fei. Even they themselves could not say. Long Fei smiled faintly, looked at the elder who spoke, and said, "Why can't I come?" You don't seem to have any rules preventing outsiders from participating in the Son of God's selection, do you? You pass the selection? The elder frowned. Another elder immediately said, "Your name isn't on the list." "Yes. You want to lie to us without your name? Kid, why don't you take a look at this place?" Bick said, "He is called Chief Wong. Look and see if he has such a name." As soon as he finished, Long Brow's expression changed immediately. A smile appeared on the host's face as he took a step forward and said, "Since he has a name and has passed the examination, we can't reject him." "No way." Long Brows immediately stood up and objected. "He's cheating. Son of God can't be such a despicable and sinister villain." "I agree with the long-browed master." "I agree too." "I agree too." Immediately, quite a few people agreed. They definitely could not give Long Fei any chance. Even if everyone knew that he could not become the Son of God, they could not give him even the slightest chance. The more seconds he stayed in the Bliss Temple, the more dangerous this place would be. It has to be said that the reason the evil spirit tribe didn't make a move on the Bliss Temple for the past few hundred years wasn't because of his strength, but because they were waiting for him to appear. Now that Long Fei's identity was exposed, Evil Spirit Tribe would definitely rush over at the first possible moment. During the crucial time of the Son of God's selection, they could not take this risk. The host's eyes shook and said, "His name is just a code name. Whether it's called Master Chef or Long Fei, this is his name." Among the 100 disciples, anyone has the possibility to become a son of God, and we cannot reject anyone, even if he is from the outside world. As he said this, the host's voice sank, and he said faintly, "If you object, then I will definitely protect him for the sake of the Son of God's selection." The entire audience was slightly startled. With the host's order, who would dare to make a move? Long Brows slowly spoke. "Senior brother, are you sure you want to protect him? If the evil spirit tribe attack and the Bliss Temple is not protected, would you be able to take responsibility for it?" He directly crushed them with the evil spirit tribe. The host said, "I will bear all of it." Long Brows said, "Senior brother, for an outsider, what you're doing is not worth it." The host said, "Whether it's worth it or not, I know my limits. There's no need for you to remind me. If anyone dares to make things difficult for him again, don't blame this old man for being impolite." Long-browed face sank. The faces of the surrounding monks and elders also changed. Bick was secretly excited and whispered, "Wow, Chef, you are so valiant. I never thought that the host would actually protect you." The rich young master also whispered, "Chef, just who are you? Aren't you someone from the holy Buddhahood? The outside world? Where are you from?" Long Fei did not reply. Instead, he walked up to the host, bent down slightly, and said, "Thank you." The host revealed a kind smile and said, "Long Fei, do your best. Even if you aren't Son of God, you don't have to worry." Long Fei nodded and said, "I know." It was also at this time. Long Fei's gaze swept across them, as he said while looking at Long Brows, "I know you hate me, but don't worry. I'll keep making you feel bad." "Kid, what did you say? This is too arrogant. Who do you think you are, kid? How dare you speak to Master Long Eyebrow like that?" Several elders immediately shouted. Long Fei did not fear at all, and did not even look at these people. "I will become a son of God. You, just get on your knees in front of me, and let me slap your face." Domineering. Power. Extremely savage. The entire Bliss Temple was furious. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen one who was so arrogant. Who is the Long Eyebrow Grandmaster? A person who was almost on the same level as the host actually dared to speak to him in such a manner. Wasn't this a provocation? Isn't he challenging the entire Bliss Temple? Zhang Mei smiled and said, "To me, A person who lives by relying on the strength of others is nothing more than a talker. Long Fei, you will never become a son of God. Absolutely. Impossible. Long Brows also stopped with each word. Long Fei laughed. Then we'll see. The atmosphere was tense and filled with the smell of gunpowder, as if they would explode at any moment. Bick and the rich young master were extremely nervous, as if they were afraid that Bliss Temple's monk would attack more often than them. However, he was nervous but relieved. The big door of the Bliss Temple opened, and a straight flight of stairs that led to the Buddha's main hall appeared in front of them. Above the 9999 step was the Buddha's main hall. It was also the final test of this battle. 100 people came up the steps. Bick asked excitedly, "That is Buddha's main hall?" Wow, this is like a dream. Every single person in the Holy Buddha Palace would be incomparably excited to see a Buddha's main hall, because this was the sacred place in their hearts. However, some people, had very calm expressions. On the way to Buddha's main hall, White Cloth Saint walked to Long Fei's side and said, "You want to become a son of God?" Long Fei smiled at her and said, "Could it be that you don't want to?" White Cloth Saint said, "I want to, but I want your life even more." Finished. The holy maiden laughed coldly. Her smile was very demonic. Her killing intent was cold. And she said in a low voice, "Buddha's main hall, the good show is about to begin." Chapter 1922, The Killing Evil Spirit and Holy Maiden. Chapter 1922, The Killing Evil Spirit and Holy Maiden. White Cloth Saint was an evil spirit. However, only Long Fei knew. He couldn't say it because of what he said. How could he prove it? The devil's hand must not be exposed. Otherwise, he would not be able to become a son of God, and he would not be able to obtain the Buddha root. However, from the beginning, Long Fei had never thought of exposing White Cloth Saint. What she did was her business. But don't provoke him, or... Long Fei looked at the distant figure of the White Cloth Saint, and the corner of his mouth slightly curled as he said, "Your good show is your good show. If your good show is to deal with me, then it will become my good show." "What did the woman say to you, cook? Why can't I hear a single word?" Bick was a little puzzled. He could clearly see White Cloth Saint's mouth move, but he just could not hear what he was saying. The broad-minded young man said, "This should be a Buddhist secret technique. What she said should only be heard by the head chef. Her cultivation is very strong." "Head chef, just tell us what you said. Did she like you? The way I looked at her was not right." Bick was rather gossipy. Long Fei said, "Wait a moment when you enter the Buddha's main hall. Don't move recklessly. Put aside the matter regarding the son of God's selection." The rich youth frowned and asked, "Why?" Long Fei said, "Something big is about to happen. Step by step, step by step, step by step, 9,999 steps. Each step will cleanse your mind and cleanse the evil within your body." This was also known as the Divine Baptism Stairway. 100 people gathered in front of the Buddha's main hall. The host said lightly, "You will be staying inside for the next 3 days. No one knows what will happen or what will happen. It's all up to you. But please remember, don't forget your true intentions." The host glanced at Long Fei, and then he said lightly, "Go on in." The big door of the Buddha's main hall opened. Buddha's main hall was a very special space. It looked like a temple from the outside, but it was just an illusion. 1,000 blessings sat up. It sparkled with a golden light, as if it were a holy land for the purification of one's soul. After Long Fei entered the palace hall, the holy Buddha light in his body suddenly flickered. It was as if there was some sort of resonance. Long Fei's heart seemed to have been purified. Boom! After 100 people entered, the big door of the Buddha's main hall closed. This door would not open until 3 days later, at which time a new son of God would be born. Of course, it was also possible that no son of God would be born. Upon entering, quite a few people immediately knelt down. Long Fei did not move. He kept on staring at White Cloth Saint. Bick and the rich young master also knelt down. Suddenly, White Cloth Saint laughed and said coldly, "Kneel in front of the illusory Buddha. Why not kowtow to me? This is disobedience. Blasphemy against the Lord of Buddha." A man said, "Who are you to dare say such words? Are you not afraid of the Lord of Buddha blaming you?" "Blame? Ha ha ha! Him." White Cloth Saint pointed at the statue of the Lord of Buddha. In the middle, the idea moved, releasing a burst of spirit chi. Buzz. Rumble. The statue of the Lord of Buddha instantly crumbled into two pieces and crumbled onto the ground. "How preposterous! You're too impudent." The man stepped forward and punched White Cloth Saint. White Cloth Saint did not move. He only saw that his face was all smiles, and his smile was somewhat sinister. In that moment, the space between Long Fei's eyebrows sunk, and he thought to himself, "Damn it!" Crack! An X-force was released, and the man's body was split into four pieces. Blood spurted out of his wounds and filled the entire hall with blood. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Buddha! In my eyes, it's just a figment of the weak. Kneel before him? You might as well kneel before me. The woman laughed wildly. Bick and the rich young master were a bit unhappy, but they were stopped by Long Fei when they wanted to rush up. How strong was the White Cloth Saint? Long Fei was very clear in his heart that the Bick and the rich and powerful young master were simply no match for each other. The majority of the 100 examinees were believers of the Buddha. Their faith had been tainted, so they couldn't care less at this moment. All of them charged forward. White Cloth Saint was not afraid in the slightest, as he said with a cold smile, "A bunch of trash. Living is simply an insult to this world." Ha ha ha! Buzz. An evil spirit aura burst forth. Boom. The main hall suddenly shook. The scarlet light spread out. Long Fei's brows tightened, and immediately said, "Hide behind me." He took a step forward. The idea moved, Holy Spirit defense. The Holy Spirit light shield enveloped Long Fei's entire body, and Long Fei pulled the Bick and the rich young master behind him. The moment the Holy Spirit light shield came into contact with the scarlet blood light, creaking sounds immediately rang out from the shield. It was unable to withstand the pressure at all. However, 99% of the attacks were cancelled. He had managed to protect the Bick and the rich young master, but 80% of the examinees in the hall were instantly killed, and fresh blood frantically gushed out of their bodies. This was a naked blasphemy, using blood, using death to look down on the Buddhist Sangha. However, and this is not the end, the White Cloth Saint smiled slightly as he looked at Long Fei and said, "There is simply no such thing as a God in this world. The so-called Buddha that saves the common people is only a powerhouse who wields absolute power. And now, I am the powerhouse." He exerted his strength. The scarlet bloodlight rushed into the examinees, who were killed. In that instant, the four of them suddenly opened their eyes, and their pupils turned red. "Become an evil spirit," Bick exclaimed. "How did it become an evil spirit?" The rich young master said, "This woman is really abnormal." A few survivors rushed to the door and shouted, "Open the door! Open the door! Quickly! Save us!" They had never seen an evil spirit in their lives. He had never seen such a terrifying person before. A faint smile hung on White Cloth Saint's face as he said, "No one can save you, Lord of Buddha, Son of God, and all those petty monks in Bliss Temple cannot. Only me. I can grant you eternal life. Ha ha ha." White Cloth Saint was like a bloodthirsty witch. She was beautiful. She had big breasts, but she preferred killing. White Cloth Saint's gaze turned and landed on Long Fei and said, "The good show is about to start. It's your turn now. I waited in holy Buddhahood for 1,000 years for you." Long Fei walked up and said, "You like me?" White Cloth Saint sneered and said, "Because of you, I can't even return to my own world. I don't have to worry anymore. I can return to my world soon, because you're going to die soon." While they were talking, White Cloth Saint's aura moved. Rumble! The white robe on her body turned blood red, and a rhombus-shaped mark appeared on her forehead. "Evil spirit, holy maiden," the rich young master exclaimed. Bick immediately landed beside Long Fei. At this time, Long Fei's arms were scarlet red, his sleeves were ignited, and he said solemnly, "Whatever you do has nothing to do with me, but if you want to touch me, then you're wrong." Boom! Limitless blasting fist. Open. Chapter 1923. Martial Buddha Awakening. All dead. Chapter 1923. Martial Buddha Awakening. All dead. I don't care what you blaspheme. Who cares what you kill? But don't provoke me, or that was just one word. Fuck. Long Fei wasn't that kind of person who cared about women. He wouldn't stay his hand just because you were a beauty. As long as you were in his way, he wouldn't care about your beauties or your wild beasts. Limitless blasting fist. Buzz. Long Fei's arms fiercely shook. "Not speaking nonsense. I will first blast you around first." From the moment Long Fei entered the Buddha Hall, he had already locked onto the White Cloth Saint. Thus, the blasting fist could be directly released. The power of limitless, the combination of yin and yang, and the corresponding plaything. In this instant, an incomparably powerful energy surged on Long Fei's fist as he punched out. Buzz. The air exploded. Rumble. 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 Extremely powerful. Both the Bick and the rich young master were shocked. They did not expect that Long Fei's strength would be this strong to such an extent. They were extremely shocked. However, the expression in White Cloth Saint's eyes changed slightly as he said with a cold smile, "This kind of power can also display its full power in the plane you're in. Where is it now?" "Hee. Use it on me?" "Hee. It. Still not strong enough." The White Cloth Saint was not afraid in the slightest. Instead, he took a step forward in front of Long Fei and struck violently with a burst of power in his hands. To go head-to-head with the blasting fist, if this was a world of 100,000 planes, it would undoubtedly be a death sentence. But one level after another of the restrictions of the law energies. No matter how strong the cultivation method was, Long Fei's strength was restricted by the power of law. The blasting fist was the blasting fist of the 100,000 planes commanded by the main temple. In this holy Buddhahood, was it still able to unleash that kind of strength that could instantly kill everything and ignore everything? Long Fei was not confident. The moment he saw White Cloth Saint charge towards the blasting fist, his heart faintly moved, and his body charged forward as well. The blasting fist erupted. Powerful evil spirits collided against each other. They did not touch the White Cloth Saint. The moment the two forces made contact in the air, it was as if the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. The space around them constantly exploded, creating crackling and crackling sounds of fire. He had withstood it. The blasting fist was blocked. In the past, he would at most be interrupted. But now, however, the blasting fist was forcibly stopped by a force. Long Fei frowned. He secretly tightened his eyes. The first plane and the first stage of the ancient code. It seems like the blasting fist is of no use to this holy Buddhahood. It was still fine to deal with ordinary experts. But when it was time to deal with the powerhouse, it was unable to unleash its power of insta-kill. However, the instant the power of the blasting fist was stopped, Long Fei had already landed. The aura from his entire body moved, and directly jumped over the first 2 stages of the Purple Sun Divine Power. With a loud roar, he shouted, "Heavenly Emperor Ziyang!" The destruction of the Celestial Emperor. Purplish-blue flames burned on Long Fei's body, and a Heavenly Emperor's simulacrum appeared above his head. His palm struck down, as if it was crushing down from the sky. White Cloth Saint's face darkened. This power was beyond her expectations. However, who is she? She was the evil spirit, Holy Maiden. Power cultivation is something this low-plane Holy Buddhahood cannot compare with, because she came from the universal large world. Facing Long Fei's power of the Purple Sun Heavenly Emperor, her eyes narrowed slightly as a drop of her blood essence floated out and exploded on top of her head. Buzz. Evil spirit blood sacrifice. Undead shield. Buzz. A blood sacrifice of power formed a light shield that enveloped him. The light shield formed countless undead that surrounded his body, coldly saying, "I didn't think that you would have such powerful strength. However, even if you are strong, it's useless. Today you must die." Rumble. The power of the Purple Sun Celestial Emperor chopped down. White Cloth Saint's undead shield resisted the attack. Her body only trembled slightly, and she didn't suffer much pain. Moreover, at the same time, she took a step back and pointed at Long Fei's forehead. Finger sword. Destiny. The sword chi on the tip of White Cloth Saint's finger was like a ray of light penetrating through all the energy and attacking Long Fei. Faster. Incomparable speed. Faster than lightning. Long Fei's body was now an extremely strong body. No matter how fast he was crawling like an ant, but the speed of the White Cloth Saint's fingers and swords were at a stage where he couldn't even see them clearly. Long Fei continuously retreated. Bick and the generous young master looked at each other. Next, the seal of S on the 2 roared loudly. The Buddhist light shone through tens of thousands of meters and rushed out at the same time. "Martial Buddha? Humph!" The White Cloth Saint snorted and said, "Just the 2 of you?" The upper half of the Bick and the rich youth's bodies were bare, and the light emitted by the swastika character was incomparably dazzling. The strength in their bodies was especially strong as well. The 2 of them went to their right and left bags. Long Fei suddenly tensed up and shouted loudly, "Be careful!" However, too late. White Cloth Saint laughed coldly. "You overestimate yourself." The finger sword moved. Whoosh whoosh, asterisk 2 moves. It pierced the hearts of both the Bick and the young master. Puchi. Puchi. Blood spurted out from his body as his body fell heavily to the ground. His body twitched for a few moments before he lost all signs of life. Instant kill. He wasn't a match at all. They had only awakened the seal of and did not become a real martial Buddha. Their strength was only slightly stronger than the average person. However, their mission was to protect the Son of God, to protect them with their lives. They weren't sure if Long Fei was Son of God or not. However, they were sure that Long Fei was their brother. As he watched the 2 people fall to the ground, Long Fei's fury surged, and the power within his right arm became somewhat out of control. HNG, HNG. White Cloth Saint laughed coldly and said, "Martial Buddha, in my opinion, they are just 2 pieces of trash, no different from them. Now it's your turn." White Cloth Saint stared at Long Fei. Long Fei stared at White Cloth Saint and said, "Is evil spirit tribe born to kill randomly? Is evil spirit tribe born to be a devil envoy? If that's the case, Long Fei's right arm trembled. It started to shake rapidly. This was a surging devil's power that had never been seen before. At this moment, buzz, buzz, buzz. Explosions rang out one after another. 5 consecutive hums rang as Buddhist light appeared, and 5 rays of light appeared from the martial Buddha. The 5 seal of had awakened. The white cloth saint trembled and said with a sneer, "Another 5 pieces of trash awakened. I told you before, Seiji Buddha, you might as well kneel before me." Kneel or not? The 5 of them didn't say a word and immediately rushed toward the holy maiden. Long Fei's face tensed up. "Don't go." However, the 5 of them acted as if they did not hear it and rushed towards White Cloth Saint with all their might. Swish, 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 swish. 5 voices. As the 5 landed, their hearts were pierced by the sword chi. White Cloth Saint swept a glance at the few remaining people who were still alive and said, "There's still one more martial Buddha. Come out and wake me up as well." At this time, the remaining people all knelt down. "We are willing to believe in the evil spirit tribe. Spare us." Chapter 1924. Right Arm, Demon. Chapter 1924. Right Arm, Demon. Afraid of death. Everyone was scared. What is faith in the face of death? What did the Son of God count as? Nothing was more important than his own life. Seeing them kneel down, White Cloth Saint laughed out loud. "Ha ha, ha ha ha. Do you see it? Do you see it? In this world, only the powerhouse is a god." Lord of Buddha uffed, extremely disdainful. White Cloth Saint laughed out loud while stomping on the Lord of Buddha statue until it was crushed into pieces. She was extremely excited, as if she had a deep grudge against Lord of Buddha. White Cloth Saint looked at the few people kneeling on the ground. Pitiful! How pitiful! If you kneel, you will die as well. Is the last martial Buddha among you? He's dead, and no one can save you anymore. White Cloth Saint looked at Long Fei. As soon as he finished, the faces of those people kneeling changed greatly. "Lord, evil spirit, we've already kneeled down. Please spare our lives. Please, please." He continued to kowtow. It was completely useless. Die. White Cloth Saint's aura moved and immediately crushed the remaining people. The entire Buddha's main hall was covered in blood, and the bodies of the surrounding 10,000 blessings were dyed with fresh blood. Seeing all this, the White Cloth Saint laughed loudly. "Buddha? Humph! Buddha, who saved the world? Even if I kill people in front of you, you won't be able to save a single one. Just like the world. Ha ha ha. You high and mighty Buddhas are just trash who deceive the world." The White Cloth Saint said fiercely. Long Fei looked at her. He didn't know why. Long Fei felt that she was a little pitiful. Outside the Buddha's main hall, with 1,000 monk guardians, they did not allow anyone to disturb the Son of God's selection. No matter what happened inside, they would never go in. There's something different about this year's Son of God's selection. The Buddha's main hall is emitting killing intent nonstop. Why is this happening? Who knows? I guess this year's selection is a little special. It's also possible that the Lord of Buddha is testing them. Maybe not. If only I could go in as well. Perhaps I am that Son of God. Are you dreaming? Everyone in the Bliss Temple was waiting and discussing. No one knew that the current Buddha's main hall was bleeding profusely. No one would have thought of that. The residence of the long-browed elder. Clan elder, no matter who it is, we cannot let Long Fei become the Son of God. If he does, he will not let us off. At that time, I'm afraid. An elder said worriedly, anyone could become a son of God, so could Long Fei. If it was him, then the people who had mocked and ridiculed Long Fei before wouldn't be easy to deal with. Moreover, they had all kicked Long Fei out of the Bliss Temple before. Long-browed man understood. An elder said, "No matter what, we cannot let him become a son of God. But no one can enter the Buddha's main hall. We have no way to stop everything." Long brows narrowed his eyes and said lightly, "There is a way, after all." The reason why Long Fei can stand is because there is a power supporting him within his body. Suddenly, an elder immediately said, "It's the power of the host." Long Eyebrow nodded his head and laughed. As long as the source of this energy disappears, he will instantly fall into a coma. Under these circumstances, how will he proceed with the Son of God's selection? Could it be that Lord of Buddha will blindly choose a vegetable? Ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! The few elders and the long-browed elder laughed out loud at the same time. Long Fei had to die. If he doesn't die, the evil spirit tribe won't leave. Long Fei had to die. If he really became the Son of God, then some people's days would not be so good. This is the holy Buddhahood. But this was also the martial arts world. In this world where the martial arts world was stained with water, no one could be alone. It was even more impossible for them to only have faith and no desire. This was also the reason why they could not become Buddha. Long Brows was moving. In the Buddha's main hall, everyone had died, leaving only Long Fei. White Cloth Saint looked at Long Fei and said, "All of your 8 great martial Buddha-s have died. Without the 8 great martial Buddha-s, you will definitely die." "Son of God?" Long Fei asked, "Why do you keep thinking that I'm a son of God?" White Cloth Saint laughed. "If you weren't son of God, how would you know that I am an evil spirit? Only the Son of God would have a reaction to the evil spirit tribe. If you aren't the Son of God, how are you able to make it here and not die?" "Of course. I also don't believe that a person whose hands are filled with blood can become a son of God. The only possibility is that it was arranged by your mother 1,000 years ago. Your mother wants you to become a son of God. But this is simply impossible. Because you are about to die, how can a dead person become a son of God?" White Cloth Saint started laughing. She looked at Long Fei as if she was looking at a dead man. Buddha's main hall had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. This sort of place. No doubt about it. Long Fei didn't think about whether or not he was a son of God. Instead, he looked at the White Cloth Saint and said, "Are you sure you can kill me?" White Cloth Saint laughed. "Do you think you can survive?" Long Fei said, "Let's try it." White Cloth Saint said, "Let's try it." As soon as he finished, the two of them moved at the same time. But this time Long Fei did not use his own strength. His heart sank as he said in a heavy tone, "If Lord of Buddha doesn't care, then I will turn into a demon. I must take her." Boom! With a move of his right arm, the dragon-shaped mark on his shoulder emitted a black glow. It was just like how dragons transformed into demons. His right arm turned black. In addition, the meridians and muscles on his arm were all changing. They constantly twisted and distorted, and streams of power couldn't be controlled as they burst out. He made a fierce comparison. "Ah!" Long Fei screamed in his heart. The crazy consumption of holy power value. The aura on White Cloth Saint's body also increased sharply. Seeing the tight lock between Long Fei's black right eyebrows, she had never seen such an evil power. Evil spirit tribe, originally a spirit race. The reason they had become evil spirit tribe was because they had sold their souls to demons, become the messenger of demons on earth. However, what was Long Fei's right arm? Devil's hand, a true demonic power. How could White Cloth Saint ever see such power? In that instant, Long Fei's right arm became more and more uncontrollable, as if his entire arm was going to explode. Seeing the white cloth saint rushing over, Long Fei was too lazy to control the power of the devil's hand. He immediately roared out, "Come on, just release all of your power." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's arm suddenly changed. He then turned into a sinister, gigantic devil's hand and smashed down at White Cloth Saint. It was like swatting a fly, powerful to the point of explosion. Chapter 1925, The Appearance of Lord of Buddha, Holy Maiden Martial Buddha. Chapter 1925, The Appearance of Lord of Buddha, Holy Maiden Martial Buddha Paji. A crisp sound rang out. Rumble. The entire Buddha's main hall trembled from the impact. His voice was incomparably powerful. With the Bliss Temple as the center, it immediately spread out, covering the entire Holy Buddhahood. At this moment, Evil Spirit Tribe, who had already gathered his power, shouted loudly, "Young Lord Signal! Target Bliss Temple! Attack! Crush those people!" The large army of evil spirits rushed out, covering the sky and covering the earth as they charged towards Bliss Temple. In the distance, a black, clothed man floated in the air, with a faint smile on his face. "You finally succeeded, but you will never be able to return to the spirit race." Ha ha ha! The man's silhouette flashed. Then, a large door above Holy Buddhahood opened. A ray of light entered the door. The man turned around and looked at the Holy Buddhahood and laughed complacently. "Waiting 1,000 years, I finally completed it. Mu Clan, Dragon Manor, you've lost." Ha ha ha. Whoosh! His figure disappeared. The door closed forever. None of the people from Evil Spirit Tribe could return to the outside world. None of this was known to anyone. What is that sound? What happened in Buddha's main hall? Could it be the Son of God was born? That's not right. The Son of God should have been born with an unfathomably bright Buddhist light. But why isn't there any? What happened? The Buddha's main hall shook tremendously, and everyone rushed out of the Bliss Temple. Not only that, the people of Western Buddha City also looked up. The entire Holy Buddhahood was waiting. What had just happened? Such a great shock had never happened in the Holy Buddhahood before. The host rushed to the front of the Buddha's main hall and immediately asked, "What did you send?" The guard monk shook his head and said, "We don't know either." At this time, all the elders rushed over, all of them in a hurry, some of them extremely excited. Could it be that Son of God is born? Son of God, why are you still not coming out? This is killing me. Monk said, if Son of God was born, the gates to the Buddha's main hall will automatically open. But there isn't, which is to say that, an elder said, then why did such a great shock happen? I don't know. Furthermore, from the window, he couldn't see the inside clearly. Buddha's main hall is a special space. Unless you enter, you don't even know what's going on inside. Just as everyone was discussing what had happened inside, an elder hurried over and said, not good at all. The long-browed man's face twitched and shouted, what's the matter? Panicking like this? Is the biggest matter more important than the Son of God's selection? The clan elder anxiously replied, the Evil Spirit Tribe is out in full strength, rushing towards our Bliss Temple. This time, the scale is unprecedented. I am afraid. The host's face grew sinister. At this time, seems like Evil Spirit Tribe has been waiting for this moment. And then, the host frowned and said, pass my orders. All members of Bliss Temple must follow me out to battle. We must definitely let Son of God out of seclusion safely. 2 more days. You have to take it. As soon as he finished, the host strode out. He absolutely could not allow Evil Spirit Tribe to spout nonsense about this time's Son of God selection. Son of God was their only hope. Long brows narrowed his eyes. The few elders beside him whispered, "Elder, this is our chance." Zhang Mei looked at Buddha's main hall and said in a low voice, "Listen to my orders." The entire Bliss Temple was out. Immediately, the skies seemed to have been split open. An evil spirit that had turned pitch black. The first was the Bliss Temple with Buddhist light. However, anyone could see that the number of people in the Bliss Temple was not even a tenth of the number of people in the Evil Spirit Tribe. Resisting for 2 days. It was almost impossible. But to Bliss Temple, they had no other choice. When Long Brows saw this situation, he said faintly, "Perhaps this is Holy Buddhahood's fate. No matter what, deal with these evil spirits first." He made his choice. Even if Long Fei was a son of God, even if it would be detrimental to him in the future, he would still turn back without hesitation right now, because his faith was Buddha, Buddha's main hall. After the earthquake, the statues on both sides fell down, as if they were kneeling on the ground. This move, it was as if the world had been destroyed. Even Long Fei himself couldn't imagine it. And that kind of power was just like the Tian Shu said. He couldn't control it at all. However, he was truly very excited because of his strength. However, with a single gigantic palm strike, White Cloth Saint was smashed to the ground like a fly. The crushing pressure made her feel extremely uncomfortable, as if her entire body was being torn apart. But he did not die. What made Long Fei even more incredulous was that his arm suddenly trembled. The devil's power was shrinking rapidly, letting out painful sounds. At this time, the light emitting from the Holy Buddha in Long Fei's body crazily increased. Long Fei suddenly retreated, and his arms shook crazily. The moment he left the ground, Long Fei looked at the back of the White Cloth Saint and became stupefied. Seal of, on a piece of snow-white skin, there was a seal of. Buddhist light flashed. The evil spirit Holy Maiden was actually a seal of, and she was actually a martial Buddha. The evil spirit Holy Maiden also felt the Buddhist light behind her back. Her pale face became even paler, as if she had been humiliated. I won't. How could I be the martial Buddha? I am the one who killed Buddha. How could I become the martial Buddha? I won't. The situation suddenly changed. It was simply unimaginable. I am an evil spirit. I am a blasphemer. I am an executioner whose hands are filled with blood. How can I be a martial Buddha? White Cloth Saint crawled up from the ground, looked at the half of the Lord of Buddha statue, and cursed, "Are you an old fool? Are you an idiot? How could I be in martial Buddha?" At this moment, Long Fei revealed his true form of a devil's hand, which was trembling even more intensely than before. This was a mark left on the back of the Holy Maiden, and now it was like a ray of seal, tightly sealing the demonic energy in his arm. Ah! The demon roared. "Damn it! You want me to seal? No way!" After searching for a body for 180,000 years, it was so hard to find a perfect parasitic body. You want to find me in the seal? No way! Roars continuously erupted from his right arm. Long Fei was completely unable to control it. This kind of power was too vigorous. The words of the Tian Shu Grandmaster was true. The demon only knew how to possess the body. Buzz. The Buddhist light shook. The fallen thousand blessings suddenly floated up into the air. The Lord of Buddha statue that was split in half by the Holy Maiden also reconstructed itself. Around Long Fei, 10,000 blessings. The light of the Lord of Buddha shrouded the entire area. Chapter 1926, Long Fei's Body. Chapter 1926, Long Fei's Body. It was hard to imagine. This scene was unimaginable. White Cloth Saint was also stunned. She had never believed in Buddha, but the current scene made her feel extremely surprised. 10,000 blessings in the air revolved around Long Fei. The light of the Lord of Buddha enveloped his entire body. This scene was like a miracle. At the same time, it formed a resonance with the Buddhist light in Long Fei's body. Long Fei's gigantic devil's hand continued to produce devil's power, the pressure of the Buddhist light, and the counterattack of the devil's power. His body became like a battlefield. Long Fei was in a bad mood. Lord of Buddha, it's not wrong for you to suppress demons. Demon, it's not a problem for you to resist suppression. But you guys are fooling around with lousy, then there's something wrong with it. Long Fei's anger surged in his heart. I am the one in charge of my territory. It's not your place to purify. Immediately, the power in Long Fei's heart moved. A powerful aura of power spread out. However, his strength had not even touched the power of the Buddhist light or the devil's power before it was ruthlessly sent flying. He was completely not a match for it, and was also not above the same level. The power of the Lord of Buddha, devil's power. These two kinds of powers were too powerful. They were not something that Long Fei could contend against at all. However, if you're not happy, you're not happy. Long Fei did not care who they won or lost. In the end, he was still the loser because this was his body. If he could not make the decision himself, then it would mean that any powerhouse that appeared could easily take his life. The Lord of Buddha is good too. A demon is fine. All in all, I'm in charge of my territory. Long Fei tried again. His holy power value crazily surged, forming the strongest power in the Silver Star realm, resisting the two powers. At this time, the statue of the Lord of Buddha said, Long Fei, I'm helping you purify the devil's power. Long Fei asked, and after purification? Lord of Buddha was stunned. Long Fei said, after the purification, do you want to become a part of my arm? Ha ha ha. Boy, you're right. He also has his eyes on this body of yours. He is also uneasy and kind. Ha ha ha. The demon's voice rang out. Long Fei immediately shouted, he doesn't feel it's kind, but you mean it's kind? Air. The demon was startled as he said, Brat, at least I saved you before. If it wasn't for my strength just now, you would have been killed in one move by this girl. Without my devil's power, would you be able to live until now in holy Buddhahood? Without the devil's power, Long Fei would have died a long time ago, let alone leveling up by slaughtering evil spirits in Buddha City. Long Fei sneered. Could it be that you are not helping me for your own sake, but because you are stronger? Isn't it because of me that you are able to survive in my body until now? Don't speak so much nonsense. I don't care what sort of peace you have here. In short, this is my body. Who the hell dares to move about in my body? I will definitely not let him go. Long Fei said heavily. Ha ha ha. The demon laughed loudly. Who can you not let go of? What power do you have? A trash of the Silver Star realm. You can't even break the dome of the Devil Island. You are just an ant struggling to survive under the pressure of the main temple. You dare say you won't forgive anyone? How laughable! How ridiculous! The demon disdainfully sneered. If it wasn't because your body was special, I wouldn't have even looked at you. Stealing your body is a blessing of yours for 8 generations of cultivation, something so many people wouldn't even be able to ask for. Lord of Buddha said, Long Fei, I won't harm you. I promised your mother that I would help you. I definitely wouldn't harm you. Ha ha ha. The demon laughed out loud again. Buddha with wolf skin. From the very beginning, when the Mu clan's people appeared in the holy Buddhahood, I'm afraid you have been waiting for this day to come. You have always wanted a reincarnated body. His body is your best choice, right? It is the combination of two ancient clans from the great senior sister. Mu clan, Dragon Manor. You dare to say that you aren't moving the crystallized flesh of these two great ancient family? Humph! Monk, if you really did not dare to be greedy, you would not have planted 3 son of gods, thunder on him. You have already prepared everything. The demon shouted. Lord of Buddha's face turned sinister as he bellowed. How can I be like you? Yo, yo, yo. Angry? Did I get a sore spot? Why else would you be angry? Brat, don't listen to him. If you listen to him, you will die even faster. Although you call it Buddha, you are actually just a selfish and despicable villain. The demon disdainfully said, Mu clan, Dragon Manor, crystallization of the two great ancient family, S. It's him, Long Fei. Why was his body so important? His veins were congested, the pubes were broken, his aptitude was average, and his talent was average. Why did so many people want his body? Death wanted it. At that time, Long Fei did not think too much into it. Now, the devil wants it. Even the Lord of Buddha revealed a greedy look. Why is that? What's the difference between his body and mine? Or could it be the existence of the system? Was this the biggest secret in his body? Just what kind of world was the universal large world, Mother's Mu clan, and the Dragon clan's Dragon Manor? I don't understand. Long Fei really wanted to know everything. He wanted to know why the system appeared in his body. He wanted to know all the secrets of his mother's family. He wanted to know all the secrets of the dragon race. However, there was only one way to find out about this, and that was to enter the universal large world. However, he could not even manage a small main temple. How could he have the qualifications to enter the universal large world? Long Fei's brows tightly locked together and said, What exactly is my body hiding? The demon excitedly said, You have unparalleled potential, but you have no idea how strong your body is. Do you think your body was destroyed by the divine tribulation when you ascended from God's martial continent to chaos realm? Do you think that you only have your soul left? Wrong. Your original body has already been sent to the universal large world. However, universal world and those abnormal beings never thought that your soul would be so strong to the point where they couldn't even imagine it and actually be able to grow such a strong fleshly body again. Ha ha ha. Brat, combine with me. I can give you unparalleled strength. I can give you unparalleled glory. What can a mere main temple do? I can easily make 100,000 of his planes disappear instantly, as long as you hand your body to me. The demon spoke plainly. His voice was filled with incomparable excitement. Long Fei's body. It made him excited. Lord of Buddha immediately said, Long Fei, you must not, you will only become his tool. Your physical body is not as simple as strong. You must not let him steal your life. Definitely not. The demon shouted in anger, Why are you wasting your breath? Whoever wins will have this fleshly body. Chapter 1927. The Strength of the Gobbledygook. Chapter 1927. The strength of the gobbledygook. He immediately started the conversation without saying anything. If you can do it, don't do it. The character of a demon was one of irritation. As long as he crushed the Lord of Buddha's power, he believed that Long Fei's body would definitely be his. As for Long Fei's own strength, since it was not a threat at all, Long Fei would only rely on him. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, who would reject the strong? At first, Long Fei did not understand. Now he understood. The Lord of Buddha and the demons wanted to fight over his body. That being the case, Long Fei slightly withdrew his strength and said, "If you want my physical body, then let's see which one of you is stronger. Let them fight to the death." Long Fei unleashed his potential. The demon was very clear on what Long Fei was thinking and laughed. "Brat, don't even think about escaping. Are you still thinking about reaping the rewards? Ha ha ha. Are you even worthy?" Boom. With a shake of his right arm, the gigantic devil's power flipped through the skies, directly smashing away the floating 10,000 blessings. It was also at this time the strong rays of light from the Lord of Buddha suddenly became dazzling, forming a huge power of purification that crazily rushed into Long Fei's arm. Lord of Buddha was chanting a scripture. Everything was going on alternately with each other. Long Fei felt like his right arm was about to explode. White Cloth Saint was stunned. She was truly confused this time. She was already a little stunned when she had awakened the seal of, but when she saw that the Lord of Buddha and demon were actually fighting over Long Fei's body, she was even more dumbfounded. He didn't understand at all. However, there was a kind of power in her body, a power that belonged to her own heart. She wanted to protect Long Fei. When this thought rose in her mind, her heart immediately sank. I clearly wanted to kill him. So why did I want to protect him? Am I really that darn martial Buddha? Her heart was in a frenzy. She was very self-centered. Thus, she did her best to control herself. Seeing Long Fei's painful expression, the power in her heart became stronger and stronger. I clearly killed 7 martial Buddha. Why did I become a martial Buddha? The holy maiden's heart was very tangled. Long Fei was roaring. The collisions of energy within his right arm had already exceeded the limits of what he could endure. However, the demons and Lord of Buddha did not care about this at all as they continued to fight like mad. F***CK. Long Fei cursed angrily in his heart. This is not the way to go about it. Even if I don't die, I will become a cripple. The strength of his right arm was too great. If both sides were to suffer, his arm would be completely crippled. This is my body. When is it someone else's turn to speak? Long Fei clenched his left fist heavily. Lord of Buddha, no matter what power the demon used, he could not fight against it. He wasn't a match at all. He wasn't a match at all. They could only watch as they recklessly destroyed their own bodies. Furthermore, this was only their arm. If the damage were to spread to other parts of their body, Long Fei gritted his teeth until it made a cracking sound. F***CK. Suddenly, just as Long Fei was helpless, the that he found in ancient temples suddenly moved. Buzz. The Buddhist light was like a pillar, exploding inside Long Fei's body. Long Fei's body suddenly moved greatly. The 2 powers of the demon and Lord of Buddha also stopped abruptly. Lord of Buddha was the first to exclaim in shock, Holy Buddha, Holy Buddha, Holy Buddha gobbledygook. How did you manage to get this set of gobbledygook?" At this moment, not controlled by Long Fei, buzz. Another loud sound rang out. A pillar of light also burst out from the star book. The 2 beams of light instantly merged into one. Boom, boom, boom. A continuous sound of resonance was produced. The demon's heart sank. Starbook, you have obtained 2 of Universal Large World's 10 great gobbledygook. It's unimaginable. No wonder those perverts all want your body. It turns out, this is the secret of your body. Your destiny is heaven-defying. To think that 2 gobbledygook can be merged together, it was absolutely impossible. No, nothing is impossible for you. Buzz. The power of the 2 pillars of light once again rumbled loudly. Suddenly, 2 streams of power surged into Long Fei's body at the same time. Rumble! 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 The eruption of the gobbledygook's power was not blocked by any other power, as if it looked down upon the existence of everything. Even Long Fei himself did not expect this. This is the power of the gobbledygook. Is this the power of a gobbledygook? Long Fei was moved from the bottom of his heart. Awesome! The power of the gobbledygook flowed into his arm. Demon, the power of the Lord of Buddha, was not pressured in the slightest, nor was it pushed out. Their strength was just as great. Just as their faces were filled with shock, an even more shocking scene occurred. Two strands of energy converged onto Long Fei's palm and directly entered amongst the dragon-shaped mark on his arm. The power that had activated the gobbledygook was not Long Fei himself, nor was it any external force, but the dragon-shaped mark on Long Fei's shoulder. In that instant, a light flashed on top of the dragon-shaped mark. The gobbledygook's power disappeared. Everything seemed to have calmed down. The demons were completely stupefied. Lord of Buddha was also confused. What was going on? What about the power of the gobbledygook? Where did he go? It can't just disappear after appearing once, right? It was not only the two of them, but Long Fei himself was also unable to feel the existence of the two powers, and they disappeared from the moment he entered the dragon-shaped mark. 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes. After half an hour, there were no signs of any energy fluctuations. It was also at this time the devil's power suddenly surged, crazily rushing towards the Lord of Buddha's power, excitedly asking, "What gobbledygook? It's just bullshit. Ha ha ha." It is not a gobbledygook at all. Lord of Buddha also reacted and blocked the attack. He was puzzled as well. Was that the power of the Holy Buddha's gobbledygook or not? At this moment, the two gods started their battle once again. Long Fei's arm seemed to be about to explode. At this moment, Long Fei fell into a state of pain. White Cloth Saint was also unable to resist the flow of his will. He took a step forward and rushed to Long Fei's side. Rather than passing, why not cut it off? It was a way out. However, just as White Cloth Saint was about to cut his arm off, Long Fei sucked with his left hand, and a drop of blood essence was directly sucked from White Cloth Saint's body. The blood essence landed on the dragon-shaped mark. It was just like a drop of blood essence that activates the strength of the entire world. Blood of a virgin, blood of the spirit race. At this time, Long Fei no longer had time to think about so much. The instant the blood essence landed on the dragon-shaped mark, boom! A ferocious draconic roar rang out. Next, Buddha's main hall began to tremble violently. His strength exploded. It was as if he was crushing everything in his path. The devil's power instantly collapsed. The power of the Lord of Buddha instantly collapsed. At the same time that it collapsed, the energy that burst out from the dragon-shaped mark seemed to have refined the energy that it released back into Long Fei's body. Suddenly, the system sounded out. Ding. Table of contents. Table of contents. Ding. The system suddenly sounded out. Long Fei's mind trembled and could not help but ask, "What's the situation?" He calmed his heart and listened. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for merging with the power of the Lord of Buddha, left arm fusion with Tathagata's hand. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for merging with Devil's power and Demon wings. Are you releasing it? 2 notifications sounded. As the 2 voice fell, the Lord of Buddha's power disappeared from his right arm, and the Devil's power also instantly disappeared. In that instant, it was annihilated as if it was made of rotten wood, and at that moment, it also condensed as if it was made of rotten wood, forcibly suppressing it purifying out the Lord of Buddha's desire and purifying out the demon's greed, thus turning it into Long Fei's own strength. It was the absolute strength of two gobbledygooks. That kind of power was something that Long Fei had never encountered before. A power that could not be described with words. Tathagata's hand. Wings of demon. Damn. Are you trying to turn me into Tathagata and turn me into a demon? Long Fei did not release these two powers. He was worried. This Buddha's main hall couldn't take it, because these two were extremely powerful. Hey. White Cloth Saint called out a few times, seeing Long Fei's stupefied face, and seeing him not moving for a long time. It was unknown if he was dead or alive. Long Fei's eyes moved. He regained his senses and asked, "What's wrong?" The expression in White Cloth Saint's eyes was firm. She did not know why, but it was as if a stone had been lifted from her heart when she saw that Long Fei was fine. She was clearly going to kill Long Fei. Could it be that once he became a martial Buddha, his personality would change? White Cloth Saint was conflicted. Long Fei was his mission. If she didn't kill Long Fei, she wouldn't be able to go back. But now, she could feel that she was not Long Fei's match. Not only was he able to suppress her with a single palm, the power of the Lord of Buddha and Devil's power had not even destroyed him. Then again, White Cloth Saint wanted to kill Long Fei very much. But the more she thought about it, the more she couldn't help but feel that there was not the slightest bit of killing intent in her heart, and she was completely unable to control her desire to protect Long Fei. Seeing Long Fei being tormented, she felt incomparable pain, as if she wanted to endure it on behalf of Long Fei. He didn't understand at all. It was as if her heart had suddenly changed. Long Fei looked at White Cloth Saint and said, "I'm fine." He was also wondering in his heart, how could an evil spirit turn into a martial Buddha? The White Cloth Saint said, slightly, "Just now you looked very scary. What happened to your arm?" Long Fei laughed and said, "You seem to be very worried about me just now, and now you don't want to kill me?" Long Fei did not want to talk about this topic. The matter of him having two gobbledygooks in his body could not be told to outsiders. Each of the 10 great gobbledygook in the universal large world were like treasures from the demon's mouth. It was not hard to find out how much the great powerhouse wanted to obtain from the universal world. However, no matter how strong the gobbledygook was, it couldn't compare to the strength contained within the dragon-shaped mark on his right arm. The power of two gobbledygook could only be guided by the power of the dragon-shaped mark. So, the strength of the dragon-shaped mark was even stronger than the gobbledygook. However, just what kind of power was the dragon-shaped mark? The ultimate power of the dragon race? Or was it the life-saving mark his mother had left him? Long Fei was unable to explain it now, but he was sure that the dragon-shaped mark's power was extremely strong, and he was unable to control it at the moment. White Cloth Saint muttered. Long Fei looked at her, pouted, and said, "That's pretty cute." White Cloth Saint's expression immediately turned cold. He let out a long breath and said, "I hate myself. I don't know why I became a martial Buddha, and I have killed everyone here and trampled on the statues of the Lord of Buddha. So why would I become the martial Buddha? If it wasn't for the fact that I am unable to kill you, I wouldn't even believe that I am a martial Buddha." White Cloth Saint looked at the mess that was filled with corpses. Long Fei was also stunned. 7 out of 8 martial Buddhas were killed. Out of the 100 disciples present, only he and White Cloth Saint were left. They had caused such a powerful massacre in the Buddha's main hall, but the Lord of Buddha was just sitting idly by the side and doing nothing. Long Fei also felt a little awkward in his heart. He always felt that all of this wasn't very real. At this moment, the Buddhist light was boundless. all of the 1,000 blessed Buddha statues that fell onto the ground in Buddha's main hall started to float one by one. Long Fei frowned. Damn, still coming? Not waiting for him to finish. A voice resounded in the air. 10,000 Buddha is back. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, the Buddha statues returned to their original positions, one by one. Buzz. Another muffled sound rang out, and the Lord of Buddha's statue started to shine with a golden light, as though there was a sun on its back, as it said, Amitabha. Their auras were completely different. It was completely different from the energy aura from Long Fei's body just now, as if he had become a different person. White Cloth Saint frowned, and unconsciously moved closer to Long Fei. He couldn't help but want to protect Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the statue of the Lord of Buddha and directly asked, "What are you planning to do this time?" The Lord of Buddha revealed a benevolent smile and said, "Thank you for killing me, my greed. This is also one of the calamities in your life." Huh. The calamity in my fate should be the lucky thing in your destiny, right? Long Fei said carefully. Lord of Buddha had that kind of innocent and kind smile on his face, and said, "Long Fei, you carry a heavy responsibility. I hope you will not forget your heart and continue onward." Long Fei said, "I have never forgotten." However, are you really Lord of Buddha? White Cloth Saint's eyes trembled, looked at Long Fei, and said in a low voice, "Isn't this kind of speech a little too good?" Long Fei asked directly, "What's wrong with that? He almost took my life. I'm being polite with him right now. So what about Lord of Buddha? Even I am not afraid of Tathagata. Why should I be afraid of him?" Lord of Buddha, Lord Buddha, a different concept. Lord of Buddha laughed blandly. "If you believe me, that's fine. But if you don't believe me, that's not true." Long Fei said straightforwardly, "Give me a Buddha root first, and I'll believe you." He was here for the Buddha root, and not some son of God. The reason he participated in the selection was to save the Tian Shu. The Lord of Buddha smiled faintly and said, "The Buddha root appeared a long time ago and had been on your body since long ago. From the moment you made your decision to save the Tian Shu, a strand of Buddha root was planted in your body." Long Fei was startled. "The Buddha root is in my body?" White Cloth Saint looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said, "But I don't feel it." Lord of Buddha said, "When you meet the person you want to save, it will naturally appear." Long Fei was a little disbelieving. He said, "Let's not talk about the Buddha root first. Let's talk about the Buddha's main hall first. So many innocent people died. Are you just going to watch idly by the side?" Ha ha ha. Lord of Buddha smiled and said, "Do you see them dead?" As soon as he finished, one by one, they stood up from the ground. The heck, this ability is too awesome. Chapter 1929, Revenge. Chapter 1929. Revenge in just one sentence. All 98 of them stood up. Moreover, what made Long Fei even more shocked was that, in Bic, the bodies of the 7 rich and young seal shone with the light of the Holy Buddha. On their backs, there was a small sun that seemed to be shining, and although it wasn't as strong as the one in the Lord of Buddha, it was still very dazzling. What did this mean? Buddha Ascension. The 7 of them were already Buddha. Bic said excitedly, "Big Chef, we have become Buddha." Soaring to the sky, the Lord of Buddha said indifferently, "It is indeed you who are fearless and fearless of achievements. Bai Lian, you still haven't arrived yet. You still need to go through some tribulations." Lord of Buddha looked at White Cloth Saint. White Cloth Saint's gaze tensed up, and he lowered his head. "Disciple understands." Long Fei looked at White Cloth Saint and asked, "Your name is Bai Lian?" Lord of Buddha said, "In her previous life, She was a white lotus that had experienced thousands of years, went through countless tribulations, and guarded a chance to be a person. In this life, she went through all sorts of tribulations and walked on the evil path. However, she met you at the most critical moment. Long Fei was a little confused by his words. By Lien's reincarnation, Long Fei said, "Lord of Buddha, since you know everything, then can you tell me where my mother is? And Devil Island is about to collapse. How do I save them? What kind of existences are the Mu clan and the Dragon Manor in the universal large world S? Why does the devil want my body? Even your greed wants mine?" He really wanted to know. He did not feel anything special about his body other than the existence of the system. Could it be that even Powerhouse S wanted to obtain the system on his body? It's just that their training methods are different. The Lord of Buddha smiled faintly and said, "Your mother has been here before. She told me to tell you that you must keep your fearless heart moving forward. On the way, you will know all the answers you want. Dragon Manor, the enemies of Mu Clan, are too strong. It won't benefit you to know more now. Fortunately, this time, you managed to escape. Evil Spirit Tribe's powerhouse has already left the Holy Buddhahood and closed the passageway. For the time being, the forces of the universal world will not make a move against you. As for the destruction of the Devil Island, life is death, death is life. When you return to the Devil Island, you will find the answer." Lord of Buddha's voice slowly became softer, and the statue also slowly turned into wood. Finally, the sound completely disappeared. Long Fei asked, Lord of Buddha, F asterisk CK me, can you be more precise with your words? If you say so much, it would be equivalent to not saying anything at all. I just want to know who wants my life. How is my life worth? Then, Long Fei looked at Bai Lian. Bai Lian shook her head and said, I only know that Evil Spirit Tribe wants your life. The spirit race is also looking for you everywhere, but we don't know the reason. At this moment, Bix's figure moved slightly as he said, Head Chef, we are leaving. We will meet again, if fate wills it. After they become Buddha, will they stay here or not? The 7 martial Buddhas' incarnations slowly retreated and disappeared. The other 90 or so people disappeared, too, and they were sent where they belonged. Long Fei and Bai Lian were the only ones left in the entire Buddha's main hall. They've all left again. I don't know anything. We didn't manage to get any Buddha root. What the F asterisk CK are we going to do about it? Long Fei muttered. This time he had struck gold, the power of Buddha, wings of the demon. These were all peerless treasures. It was a good item that he couldn't even get his hands on. Long Fei scratched his head in puzzlement. What are you going to do now? Continue to be your evil spirit, or do you want to do something else? Bai Lian thought for a moment and said, being embellished by the Lord of Buddha, I only have one path I can take. Long Fei asked, which way? Bai Lian looked at Long Fei and said, You are Son of God. Martial Buddha's mission is to protect Son of God. I will always be by your side. This is my mission. Long Fei was startled. Follow by my side? Smirking evilly, she said, I didn't say I'm a son of God. Even if I were a son of God, I still wouldn't be a proper son of God. I would do whatever a normal man would do, and I love to do it, if you were by my side. Bai Lian's face flushed red, and she fiercely glared at Long Fei. However, Long Fei didn't care about all this. He silently thought in his heart, there's hope. Suddenly, Bai Lian thought of something and said, This is bad. The entire Evil Spirit Tribe is out. I'm afraid they have already reached the Bliss Temple. Long Fei said, Let them fight. I do not care, but for us, if we can do something in Buddha's main hall, it would be fine. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish, Bai Lian had already run out. It was strange. The door wouldn't open at first, and when she rushed to it, it vanished of its own accord. F***CK. Long Fei glanced at Lord of Buddha and said disdainfully, "Are you afraid that I will do something so blasphemous in your hall? Even if you don't want to, I don't want to either. Who wants to do a live broadcast for you guys looks impressive." Finished. Long Fei also followed him out. Buddha's main hall opened. Boom, boom, boom. Bliss Temple was greatly shocked. Son of God is out. The Son of God is born. The Son of God is out. The Bliss Temple was already gone. Only this Buddha's main hall was left. Seeing the Buddha's main hall's door open, Bai Lian walked out. They were all shocked. It's a female Son of God. It really is him. Luckily, it wasn't Long Fei. He felt lucky in his heart. It really isn't that brat. I knew it. How could that brat be a son of God? Many people did not like Long Fei. It was because his holy Buddhahood had become like this. Just when everyone was discussing excitedly, Bai Lian suddenly stood to the side and bowed slightly. She said respectfully, "Welcome, Son of God." Long Fei slowly walked up the steps. Everyone's face changed. It's him. How could it be him? Impossible. How could he, an outsider, be our Son of God? Long-browed man's face turned unsightly. Long Fei walked out, seeing that many people's faces were ashen. He could not help but smile slightly, and said, "Are you disappointed? Are you in a bad mood? Ha ha ha. Seeing your unhappy expressions, I feel at ease because I feel great. Ha ha ha." Long Fei immediately laughed loudly. The host said, "Long Fei, the most pressing matter of the moment is to expel these evil spirits from the holy Buddhahood." Long Fei said, "Let's put aside the evil spirit tribe's matters first. I still have some private matters to attend to." Then, Long Fei walked to Long Brow's side and said, "You're called the Long Brow's Grandmaster, right?" Long Brows looked at Long Fei and asked, "What do you want?" Long Fei asked, "What do I want? I should be the one asking you that, right? Why are you still not kneeling when you see Son of God? How could you have despised me back then? How am I supposed to get my revenge today?" Chapter 1930. Wild Upgrade, Crazy Pervert. Chapter 1930. Wild Upgrade, Crazy Pervert. Long Fei was a vindictive villain. If you displeased me, I would displease you. Back then, the person who drove Long Fei out of the Bliss Temple for him to fend for himself was Long-Browed, and he was ridiculed in every way. Not even that. If not for the host's reminder, he probably would have been killed by the Long-Brow sect. Regardless of what the long-browed man's goal was, Long Fei had to vent his anger. Long Brow's expression turned sinister. A few clan elders by the side immediately shouted, "Long Fei, what are you so proud of? You are the Son of God. How can you prove that you are a son of God? You want us to kneel? Then you'll have to prove it." "Exactly. If you can't take out your proof, then pretend to be the Son of God. We can take you on the spot." Very unhappy, Long Fei grinned, smiled, and said, "All of you who have spoken just now, kneel down." The host took a step forward and said, "Long Fei, don't mess around." Fighting against evil spirits at a critical moment was the most important thing. But Long Fei didn't care about all this and said, "You want to prove it, right? I'll prove it for all of you." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's body suddenly changed. Shwa! He disappeared without a trace. Their speed was extremely fast, causing everyone's faces to tremble. The long-browed man also had a sinister look in his eyes. He could not see Long Fei's speed clearly either. Outside the Buddha's main hall, rumble, rumble, rumble. Wave after wave of explosions rang out as a large group of evil spirit warrior were killed. Dead. Piles and piles of death. Wherever he goes, he dies. It's too fast. A few monks quickly reported. Another monk said, those he killed were all from evil spirit tribe, not those low-level evil spirits. After they finished talking, Long Fei's figure changed again, landing back at his original spot. His heart was also extremely excited. Damn, the power of Buddha is indeed powerful, and this is only a tiny bit of power from Tathagata's hands. If I release my strongest power, Long Fei slightly said, are you convinced? What else do you want to prove? Long brows relaxed between his brows and said lightly, Son of God doesn't know how to kill. Immediately, many of the elders agreed, Son of God doesn't know how to kill. You're right. You are just an executioner whose hands are covered with blood. What proof do you have that you are Son of God? Long Fei cursed, Damn. I have a bad temper. While they were talking, Long Fei's brows moved and said with a heavy tone, Watch carefully for me. His left hand moved. Buzz. A Buddhist light appeared. Long Fei rose from the ground and hovered in midair. His left hand directly transformed into the Tathagata's hand, dazzling everyone's eyes with its golden light. At this moment, quite a few elders kneeled down at the entrance of the Buddha's main hall. The host's face also revealed astonishment. The power of the Son of God, the power of the Lord of Buddha, he is the Son of God. Long Fei looked around at the countless numbers of evil spirit tribe people rushing towards him and thought to himself, Master Tianshu, are you inside? The idea slightly moved. He released all the power from his left arm. Thousand Blessings Sect. Purify. Buzz. The power on his left arm transformed into Buddhist light that burst out crazily, directly covering the entire Holy Buddhahood. The waves spread out one by one, as though it was a miracle. The entire Holy Buddhahood was in an uproar because of it. What's that? Light of the Son of God. That is the power of the Lord of Buddha. Power of purification. Wherever the light passed by, those who had become evil spirits froze on the spot, not moving an inch. Purify. The light wave moved. Shua. The evil spirit's evil spirit chi was completely absorbed and turned into a normal person. At the same time, the evil spirit power that Long Fei absorbed was crazily surging into the wings of demon. To Buddha, the power of evil spirits was the power of evil. But to demons, the power of an evil spirit was like a panacea. There were no less than 10 million evil spirits in the entire Holy Buddhahood, and at the same time, purifying these evil spirits, their experience points soared as if they were flying. Ding! Congratulations, player. Long Fei, for clearing low-level evil spirit, obtained 100 experience points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for purifying low-level evil spirit for obtaining 100 points in experience points. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei for clearing low-level evil spirit obtained 100 experience points. At the same time that he received the experience, the purified evil spirit power crazily rushed into Long Fei's body, and the devil wings frantically absorbed it. A constant buzzing sound could be heard. He absorbed all of the evil spirit's power into his body. Does he want to become an evil spirit? That's why I'm not going to hell. Who's going to hell? This is the real Son of God. Next, the people from Buddha's main hall all knelt down, and the host also kneeled down. Although his long eyebrows were unwilling, he too knelt down. He sincerely admired Long Fei. Just from Long Fei purifying the evil spirit and absorbing the evil spirit's power into his own body, it was enough to make anyone submit. Dauntless. Actually, they simply did not know how much benefits Long Fei would receive. The power of an evil spirit was too great for him. Long Fei could sense that the pair of wings that had originally been his flesh wings had now slowly turned into steel wings. He was even more powerful. Rumble. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Silver Star Second Order. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Silver Star Level 3. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Silver Star Fourth Order. His experience points soared rapidly, rising by 3 levels consecutively. Rumble. All the evil spirits in the entire Holy Buddhahood were cleansed. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for purifying the Holy Buddhahood. You have received a special reward from the system. Reward, Son of God title. Reward items, time laws reset. Suddenly, the system continuously rang out. Long Fei looked at the special reward given by the system. If it was said that he was not Son of God 1 second ago, then he had truly become Son of God now. It didn't matter if Son of God was or wasn't a Son of God. The key was Long Fei received a piece of the time code power. Time reset. F***ck me. I'm kinda missing Ike's big move. Mother, you are the controller of the time laws. Did you give this to me? Long Fei looked up into the sky, his heart secretly tightening, and said, Cultivate. Laws of time. Reset. Reset to 3 minutes. As long as he was released, Long Fei could go back to 3 minutes ago. This power could be said to be heaven-defying, because in a battle between experts, let alone 3 minutes, even a second, was extremely important. It doesn't matter if I can't beat you in a single fight, I'll do it again. This was the BUG. Time reset was simply a BUG. Long Fei started to suspect that the abnormal powerhouse in the universal large world wanted the striking system right after they obtained his flesh body. Long Fei landed on the ground, looking at the tens of thousands of people paying their respects. His heart was actually very calm. He did not have the mood to tease Zhang Mei. It was also at this time. Buzz. A Buddhist light suddenly exploded above Buddha City. Someone has become a Buddha. Long Fei looked carefully. Master Tian Shu? You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.